just a little warning to everybody. Watch the restarts and the starts here. They're a little treacherous at times, but we're going to send these guys and gals off in a big way here in Texas. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing Texas style, guys.
They were 4 wide mid-pack exiting turn 2. Who's going to lead the first lap? Out in front, Kevin Harvick. Kurt Busch in second, Keselowski third, Logano fourth, Kane and Johnson.
I know they started 2 by 2, but they've been 3 by 3 for a number of rows back here, making a lot of passes early on.
But Kurt Busch, the 41 car pole sitter, he had the choice of which lane to choose. He chose the outside. Based on last night, the winner in the Xfinity Series race, Erik Jones, seemed like the bottom was better than it was on that start there.
Kane, Logano, 4th place.
Well, if I'm going to lose the lead to someone, I'd like for it to be my teammate. There you go. And Larry, I tell you, that 4 and the 41 particularly, I don't know about the 14 and the 10, but I know those first 2 cars, they're running almost identical setups. The 4 and the 41 are really working close together right now.
Clint Bowyer was way down below the apron there. Now he was 3 wide coming out of turn number 2 in very, very heavy traffic.
That car just has not been up to speed. I'm not sure what happened to him here, but the car just hadn't really been up to speed.
From the Goodyear blimp, let's see what happened.
See him right here. Whoa, what happened was he got a little shot in the rear right there from the 51 car of Allgaier and almost wrecked the 15 car of Clint Bowyer. That was close. You'll see it again right here, and that just sends Bowyer right down the racetrack. Man, he was lucky he didn't get run over.
Yeah, could be problems for Denny Hamlin. Hamlin has backed way up. They were streaming him on both sides. He's way up at the top of the racetrack and dropping way back.
It could be a taco problem. I'm not sure, but just possibly.
Well, he started 18th. He's back to 26th, Darrell.
Yeah, he's actually back there with his teammate David Reagan in that 18 car. David qualified 30th. The other Joe Gibbs drivers qualified 16th, 17th, and 18th.
When he dropped back so suddenly, I thought maybe he'd cut a tire. But Hamlin stays out on the racetrack.
Sometimes, Mike, these early goings, the track, you know, haven't been any traffic on the racetrack all day long, sit here all day long. Sometimes the car just doesn't drive good for a few laps when you first get going here.
Here comes the breakout star of the season, Martin Truex. And Barney Visser's single car team out of Denver, Colorado, top 10 every week as he battles Matt Kenseth in the 20.
Yeah, that car, the 78 car, Martin Truex Jr. has looked really good all weekend long, just like it has all year long.
Yeah, 6 top 10 finishes. He only had 5 total the entire 2014 season.
And that Martin Truex is a big part of that. I mean, he's up on the wheel this year. You just see a huge attitude change from last year. He was kind of down in the dumps last year. This year, he's wheeling that thing.
He and crew chief Cole Pearn have been a formidable combination. And Truex goes to the bottom to try Kenseth.
But what I'm seeing throughout the field, it's the reason the drivers love this mile-and-a-half track. So many different options. Just look at the 2 different grooves that Truex is running in the black 78 and Kenseth in the yellow 20.
Yeah, as a driver, I kind of like options, but also like sometimes to know that there's really only one fast way around a racetrack. Here it can be anywhere.
Well, here's a third option, Darrell. Watch the one of Jamie McMurray. Down in turns 1 and 2, he is just about scraping the paint off the outside wall.
Sometimes you can make some good passes doing that early on because nobody's really migrated up to the top all that much. There's a little bit of extra grip up there until the other cars, other guys figure out that you can run up there.
Now Denny Hamlin back. He is stabilized at 26th. Matt, what's up?
Mike, Many are predicting that the racetrack will free up as we run lap after lap. But the problem for Denny Hamlin, the car is way too tight now. He's just trying to hold on. He's had to adjust his line to try to not have the biggest challenge he's got right now. He just cannot get back in the gas, and he needs to. Losing way too much time.
Yeah, and what happens here, a lot of places, but here particularly, as the track cools down, you do pick up grip, but it's all in the front. And when you pick up that front grip, then it wants to kick the back loose. So too tight now may not be that bad.
And talking to a lot of crew chiefs, they were building adjustments into these race cars where they could adjust for that as we moved into the night.
Jamie McMurray moves to 10th, passing Paul Menard. Menard goes right back after him and takes the short way around. But McMurray will have a better launch off the corner from the high lane and retakes the spot, and this will be repeated all night long here.
There's so much speed and momentum off of the corner when you're up high like that. You get such a great run down the straightaway, just like we saw the one car, Jamie McMurray. You can really generate some super speed down the straightaway from that high line.
Kevin Harvick has led more laps tonight than in his previous 24 starts. Our 2014 champ is on a roll. 16 laps complete in Texas. Kevin Harvick, here he comes. There goes your race leader. He's up on teammate Kurt Busch by 1 second. Harvick has led every one of 17 laps so far. Ryan Newman had to start at the tail end of the field because they changed engines due to a valve train issue. Newman is the biggest mover in the field from 43rd up to 27th in his Chevrolet. There he is right behind Justin Allgaier.
And you know, we talked about Kevin Harvick in the 4-car in the pre-race show, and I told Chris Myers, the 4-car, they have no weaknesses. That's the one team out there right now that I could look at and say there's nothing wrong with that. They got a great crew chief, driver, sponsor, owner. They got it all right now, and it shows. They're the dominant car. They're the car to beat.
They're riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car. He's up 8 spots from where he started back in the 23rd position. And here's a battle for 5th between Jimmy Johnson and that 48, Joey Logano in the 22, the 2 race winners from Texas Motor Speedway last year.
They've been trading that spot back and forth. Johnson now back where he started, 5th. And Logano right where he started the race in 6th, going for 5th on the inside.
Well, think back to Atlanta, a track very similar to this one. Lowe's on the car a little bit different, but that 48 car was pretty dominant at Atlanta. And I don't remember him really being that good to start with, but he really came on strong mid-race to the end. So I'd keep an eye on that 48 car. They'll make some adjustments, and he could be the guy to beat.
And Joey Logano on that 22 car, you talked about Kevin Harvick. They win the Daytona 500. They, too, like Kevin Harvick and Martin Truex Jr., they've started the year with 6 top 10 finishes.
Some mighty good race cars with great drivers. And right now, Larry, drivers are matching skills. But in that pit, down on that pit box, and you know this better than anybody, they're matching wits. They're starting to plan strategy. Even now, fuel mileage, tires, how are we going to run this whole 500-mile race?
19th place, Austin Dillon rebounds a spot. He started 14th, dropped back a bit, but he's moved up. David Reagan in the number 18 now. He is the substitute for Kyle Busch. You'll remember back in February, they named Reagan as the fill-in because they didn't want to advance 18-year-old Eric Jones and just throw him straight into Sprint Cup racing. Well, last night here, Eric Jones won the Xfinity Series race, and team owner Joe Gibbs says, we have a plan, and Sprint Cup racing is in Eric Jones' near future.
Mike, it wasn't that he just won. It's who he beat. He raced Brad Keselowski on that last restart, door handle to door handle, and pulled away and beat Brad Keselowski and Dale Earnhardt Jr., both 2 of the best in the business.
They put the bumper to Dale Jr.
Yeah, he gave him a little shot. Come on, man.
Now another young gun, Ryan Blaney in the Wood Brothers number 21. Blaney started 11th. He is now 18th, and you may have heard as he went by that engine sounding just a little bit off song.
Well, Mike, we talked about endurance and speed at the top of the show. This place will choke the guts out of these engines with the speed and the RPM that you're turning.
And you mentioned, Larry, it gets faster. It doesn't slow down. The pace keeps getting quicker and quicker and quicker all night long.
You're not out of that throttle for long, are you?
No, but see, that's the thing about it, Mike. You can say, well, that car is not perfect. No, it's not perfect. He wants it to be, but it's better than everybody else, and that's the race you have to run. You just got to be better than everybody else.
One of his teammates at Stewart-Haas, Danica Patrick, in 16th.
Darrell, one thing I see with Danica Patrick, the one difference between her and her teammate Kevin Harvick, it looks like she's rolling out of the throttle a little earlier than Harvick. And I think the lap times reflect it, because even though she's 16th, she's about 3/10 slower than Harvick.
That's sort of her driving style.
Jeff Gordon started 12th. He's worked his way up to 9th. But he's not entirely pleased.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to laugh at the start-finish line to back it up enough. It just will not turn right now. Just keep working it. Work those brakes as much as you can.
And we actually had him on our race day show, and he said, we've got speed in this 24 car. We just can't get the balance. We can't get the front and the rear gripping together.
But I just think, Larry, I think this is not a bad place to be right now. If your car is too tight and the track picks up grip, the front starts sticking, the car should balance out and be pretty neutral as it goes later into the evening. So I'm not sure being a little tight is not a bad thing to be right now.
26 laps. Kevin Harvick has started from the front row and has led them all.
Let's see if that number 4 can keep the lead as Fox NASCAR continues.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Sprint. Bring in your Verizon or AT&T bill and we'll cut your rate plan in half.
In order to drive competitively, you must have a need for speed, a feel for your wheel, pride for your ride. These NASCAR guys, they get it.
That's Las Vegas new high roller Kevin James as Paul Blart in Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. Check it out this Friday. Maybe we can get Michael a segue for his grid walk there. Alex Kennedy, the race's slowest qualifier, was running 42nd when this happened in turn 3.
Right in front of Casey Mears in that 13 car. He was about 2/3 of the way up the racetrack. Just came around with him.
Yeah, lock her down though, son.
So the first caution of the day flies at lap 32. And pit road will be open. Kevin Harvick's led every lap so far.
Well, Darrell talked about strategy. The only strategy, how quick can we change 4 Goodyear tires?
I mean, 4 Mr. Feelgoods.
Jamie?
And Brad Keselowski in the last pit box. First time ever for them in spot number 43, saying the car's loose in and loose off. They'll make an air pressure adjustment in 4 tires. Casey Kane, little on the loose side. They're going to try to fix them up with a wedge adjustment to help that out. Let's go to Matt.
Stewart-Haas swept the front row, and they still run first and second. Harvick said the car was a little too free on exit. They're going to change the air pressure in the right rear to close up that stagger. Meanwhile, his teammate Kurt Busch, his car was tight on entry and free on exit. He made the adjustment from inside the race car with a track bar. That seemed to help, but more changes for the 41.
There's your race off pit road between the 2 Stewart-Haas Chevys. Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, then Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. As we wrap up, caution flag number 1.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. By Chevy Silverado, high-strength steel for high-strength dependability. And by Advance Auto Parts, the brand for guys who love getting under the hood.
35 laps complete. Green flag next time by. Dale Earnhardt Jr. picked up 13 positions before the caution flag. He'll restart in the back. Here's Chris Neville with a Nationwide Dale Jr. performance report.
Yeah, tough break for Dale Jr. there, Mike. He was running right up near the front there, and problems here on pit lane. Left rear, they only got 2 of the lug nuts tight, so he had to come back to pit lane a second time, get all the lug nuts tight on that car. He told the team as he was pulling out, hey guys, don't worry, we got 500 miles here in front of us, and we've got a good car.
Thanks, Chris. He was 10th. He will restart 30th. Landon Castle gets the free pass.
And I've heard this year more than I ever have before. Dale Jr. encouraging Greg Ives, his crew chief, really supporting him. When they have trouble, he's in there with them, cheerleading them on instead of them cheerleading him on.
Remember after Martinsville how sensitive that team is to vibrations in the race car. So they came in, got it fixed. Tonight's aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, official tire of NASCAR. It'll be Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick. This time Busch elects the bottom lane.
Yeah, watch the restarts. They're always, for whatever reason, you spin the tires here quite often. So watch these restarts closely.
The Penske cars in row 2, Keselowski, Logano. Hendrick Chevys in row 3, Johnson, Kane, then Gordon, Stewart, McMurray, and Larson, your top 10. Green flag.
Almost like a restart of the race.
Brad Keselowski in that white number 2, he got quite the run through the middle of 1 and 2. He's up there challenging big time, but here comes Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car.
Larry, that caution flag was very timely for all these guys. Guys who were not happy with their cars, make some tweaks, make some adjustments. You're going to see some guys that were up front that were coming. They're going to be going. You're going to see some doors coming.
Whoa, Kevin Harvick slid way up the hill in turn number 2. It had to pedal it, and it's going to cost him second place. Jimmy Johnson goes by, and here comes Kurt Busch, the first driver other than Harvick to lead a green flag lap tonight.
Well, remember I mentioned about this track being similar to Atlanta. Jimmy Johnson didn't take the lead at Atlanta till lap 198. And so I think they've got a good package in this car, and I think he's going to be really, really tough as the night goes on.
And with Kurt Busch in that 41 missing the first 3 races, this is his first race on a mile-and-a-half racetrack in 2015.
But he and Tony Gibson did work together at this race last year and got a great finish.
Nice battle here. Menard, Hamlin, and Mears. Paul Menard had to back up to get out of his pit stall. That cost him a bunch of spots during that round of yellow flag stops. He went from 11th to 19th. And now battles back. And that number 27. Kurt Busch for Gene Haas distancing the field. He's already opened up a second on Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, he's got a little bit quicker lap time right now. 29.19 that time by to a 29.27 on Johnson, and everybody else is back in the 50s. So Kurt's definitely got a little in the bank right now, pulling away.
And this has always been a good track for Kurt Busch. He has that 1 win here back in 2009, but his first time here in 01 as a rookie, he got a top 5 finish.
There are so many grooves to race on here. It just invites side-by-side battling a lot of the race through, especially back in the pack, coming up off of these restarts, as there's Brad Keselowski pulling up on Kevin Harvick. Look at this group last lap around.
Oh, they were wadded up back here. Chris Buescher in that 34 car. He almost got in the back of the 46 of Annette there. They were all coming down across the front straightaway here. I didn't know if they're going to make it or not. There's that 51 car, Allgaier. He's already had a little contact with Clint Bowyer. Nice little battle.
Third place. Keselowski going by. Matt, what about Kevin Harvick?
Early in this run, he said he hit the bump in 1 and 2 and it slid the nose. He started fading back. Now he says that the front is just super tight through the center.
They probably made a little air pressure adjustment, Larry, on that set of tires, on that caution flag, on that pit stop, and might take a few laps for it to come in, or maybe they went the wrong direction.
Yeah, because right now his lap times versus the leaders, they are way off when he was pretty much setting the pace in the early part of the race. You know, Kasey Kahne in this 5 car, he has had speed this entire weekend. He was in the top 2 in both practice sessions yesterday. And you think back to Atlanta last year, that's where Kasey got his win in 2014.
Yeah, he and Keith Rodden, he really credits Keith Rodden for the success they're having this year. He said he's really helped the team, and they really get along well, and it's showing.
Guys, I'm talking to some of the drivers in the garage area, and they're talking how the cars just won't turn through the center when the track is hot. The front end is skating. Can you imagine getting on the gravel and turning your wheels and just nothing happens? That's what it feels like. That's why these first laps are so tough on these guys, because they know the car has to be set up for later in the night so they can get through the corner when the front end starts to reacting better. So watch these guys really trying to, you could see Biffle slide up, the car behind Biffle slide up the hill there. That's what they're fighting right now.
And Michael, I think it might be a little bit of that, the tire that they run here, the multi-zone tire that Goodyear has here. It's real hard on the inside and a little bit softer as you go out toward the outside of the tire. If you don't have those cambers just right early on particularly, that tire is not going to bite very well.
Daryl, these cars are set up around that front end with the way the sway bar is timed and the shocks. The whole front end is the key to the car, and you really have to predict where you want that front end later in the night. Track temperature goes down, those front ends will start working.
Yeah, you know why? Because as the track temps go down, the speeds pick up. And one of the things that the crew chiefs have to do is anticipate what the pace of the race is going to be as the race gets going and gets further and further along and goes faster and faster. The car's going to travel more. You got to know what you got when you get to that point.
Danica Patrick 21st, just passed by Austin Dillon for the 20th spot.
Wonder where you buy that paint that'll paint that tax act on here like that.
But this is a cool shot. It's like you're riding as a passenger in her 10 car.
Yeah, and folks at home, listen. Think about a car going, just think about you going down your street at 200 miles an hour, and you got to make a turn when you get down the end of the street at 200 miles an hour. And just think about how difficult that is. These guys and gals, they make it look easy, but it's because the cars are built to do it. But it's not easy. This is hard work.
And there you see Ricky Stenhouse in the 17 in 25th. Trevor Bayne 2 spots ahead of him, and Greg Biffle 1 spot up. There's Biffle's yellow car. This week, for the first time this season, all the Roush Fenway cars made it into the second round of qualifying. That's the first time this has happened. They have new cars. The Easter break, the week off, really seems to have benefited this team.
Yeah, they went to some different technology as far as setting up the cars and building the cars. I got to say, they haven't made a giant step, but they certainly made a small step.
Chris?
Well, Mike, talking to the crew chief on the 16 and the 17, Greg Biffle and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., those crew chiefs pretty much saying that there's definitely potential in these cars. They've seen about a 25% gain over the previous evolution of car that they were using. Now, tonight is going to be the big judgment of what they've got. They said after 500 miles tonight, they should really know what they've got going forward and whether the improvements that they've gone towards are going to pay out the rest of the season.
And I think that's the biggest thing, Chris, is they need to build the notebook tonight, and then they can grow from there. They had to make a major change. Just trying to fine-tune what they've been running this year, it was not going to get them anywhere.
I remember what Trevor Bayne said yesterday in qualifying. He said, we've never made it this far in qualifying. We're going to have to figure out what you do when you get to this point. So you're right, Larry. They've got a lot of work to do, and they got a lot of catching up to do. But guess what? With the way the chase format is, they got plenty of time. You got some mulligans in there.
Well, speaking of catching up, we're riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88 car, remember, had to come back to pit road because of some missing lug nuts. Not because NASCAR made him. There's no lug nut rule. He felt the vibration and came back to pit road. Now, he's made up 7 spots, but he's all the way back in 20th. Biggest problem, he's a half a lap behind leader Kurt Busch in that 41.
Kevin Harvick may have picked up a little debris in the grill there. He was trying to get close up to Brad Keselowski to get rid of it, and now goes back to the high side.
It's mighty small. I think you can see a little piece kind of right in the center of the grill, upper top of the grill. Mighty small. I don't think that would cause him any problem.
Never mind. Going right on by.
Boy, he's working it too.
The first 5 drivers in this race have 13 Sprint Cup championships between them, as Kurt Busch leads after 53 laps in Texas.
How did I spend my spring break? I got to go to Lake Havasu, do a little wake surfing. Sherry and I went down to my parents' house in Florida. That's none of your business. Joking. Went to the desert for a day.
I hosted a wedding. It was quite the ordeal.
Did some fishing.
Wasn't it quite the vacation that you were probably longing for?
Ready to get back at it.
Spring break in so many different ways. 59 laps complete. Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick, Stewart-Haas Racing teammates in Chevrolets, have led them all. Harvick 34 laps. Busch 26. Now Clint Bowyer, who you saw in that soundbite, made an unscheduled pit stop to tighten a loose wheel.
They asked Bowyer, you know, he's a new dad. They said, how's things changed? He said, I'm drinking a whole lot less.
So Dale Earnhardt Jr. came in on the yellow flag for more lug nuts. So did Bowyer. How about Keselowski?
Well, I got a pretty good vibration here. Feels like a wheel might be loose. Yeah, I put it about a 4 or 5 on a 10 scale. Staying with the tire, but I have it down the straightaway. You know, feels like a left or right rear.
If it's a 4, I'm going to ride it a while. If it gets to be a 6 or a 7, I'm coming to pit road.
Well, Darrell, they pitted on lap 33. If we stay green, these drivers will be going about another 20 laps on this set of tires before coming to pit road.
And I'm watching his lap times there, and they're not slowing down that much. So I think he's got something he can live with till they make another pit stop.
And it seemed like about the time he noticed that was when he backed off and Kevin Harvick shot right by him. It took him a couple of laps to suss it out, and then his lap time started coming right back down again to where they are now competitive in 4th place.
Yeah, you analyze it. I mean, you all of a sudden you feel it. Now I've got it. Now how bad is it? And I like the way they do it. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 4, possibly a 5. If it'll stay there, you're fine.
So Kurt Busch, your leader, Jimmy Johnson in 2nd. Here's Kevin Harvick 3rd, 3 seconds off the lead. Matt?
Mike, the advantages of racing at a track where you can move around and find a line that might help your race car. That's exactly what Kevin Harvick has done. Shortly after that pit stop, his car has swung big time to the tight side, but now he says he found a certain line that's really helped, but he is still moving around, see if he can find a better one.
Well, and that's, you know, we talk about things that drivers can adjust outside of brake bias and track bar. That's something they can certainly adjust here.
And Jamie Little can update Brad Keselowski.
And Brad Keselowski just came on the radio and said that vibration now is about an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. They're getting ready. Paul Wolf just now said we're going to set up. So we expect the 2 to come in. Joey Meyer is spotter on the radio right now, counting him down. So he's coming next time. That's what Brad just said on the radio, guys.
Well, and this early in the race, that is not the end of the world. Now, what they would like to happen is cycle through the green flag pit stops, but this early, chances are he's going to go a lap down, but he would be the first driver 1 lap down and get the free pass.
Justin Allgaier, A.J. Allmendinger battle. When A.J.'s mom was pregnant, his father said, I don't care what his name is as long as his initials are AJ after AJ Foyt. His mom came up with Anthony James.
Think about your 3 away.
Here's Keselowski, pit road. Jamie.
And Brad Keselowski was reporting his car was blobbed pretty much everywhere but the center of 3 and 4. He was happy with it there, so they've been working on it. They'll be happy to get that vibration gone now with 4 fresh sticker tires for the 2.
And when he gets back up there up to speed, he'll be about 2 to 2.5 seconds a lap quicker than the guys that's out there leading the race on those 4 fresh Goodyear tires.
And there go the leaders by Keselowski as he comes down at pit road speed, 45 miles an hour. And we remind you that lug nuts being tight is no longer something that's monitored by NASCAR officials. The teams are self-policing in that regard.
We've already had 2 examples of that. Dale Earnhardt Jr. came back to pit road 3. Clint Bowyer comes back to pit road, and now Brad Keselowski.
It's kind of a bad option, really. Tell you the truth. People always say, oh, you know how many races you won with loose. No, I don't. I know they weren't loose enough. The wheels vibrated. That's all I know.
Matt Kenseth, Martin Truex, 9th place. And this is all happening about 10 seconds behind Kurt Busch, the race leader, with 68 complete.
these two drivers, they've about been battling each other since the drop of the green flag because they started close to one another and they were right with one another on that restart.
And they're closing on the Ganassi cars, Jamie McMurray and Kyle Larson.
But do you see what trust it takes? I mean, look how close that the 20 and the 78 are running to each other. I mean, the 78 right here is right up under you. You know he's there. You trust him. You know he's not going to run up in there and knock you out or spin you out or get into you. It takes a lot of trust.
So we had caution flag stops at lap 32. We may be coming up on the first green flag stops of the night. Let's get an idea of what to expect, beginning with Matt.
And Kurt Busch still out front. He said the car started off much better at the beginning of this run, but then it started to swing once again to the free side, and he just moments ago said it's taken another leap in that direction, so more air pressure changes coming for Busch. Meanwhile, the 24 of Gordon, another winner here at Texas. This car started out tight, especially through the center. He said the exit was not as loose as it was that first run, but they're looking at air pressure change for Gordon as well. Jamie?
And Jimmie Johnson up to second, started the race fifth. He's been pretty happy with the car this race. Just a little bit loose. They made an air pressure adjustment last stop. He really has had no feedback. Just happy with the car, running second. Chris?
And Kyle Larson has said that this is the best car he's had throughout practice all day yesterday. So we've made some big gains. We're trying some new things this weekend to see if we can have a car that has more speed throughout the entire run. Well, early in that run, he said, I need the car to roll the center of the corner a bit better. But after about 25 laps, he said the balance is really good on the 42.
Thanks, folks. We'll have pit stops coming up. And the crews will get to show their stuff. 71 laps complete in Texas. Kurt Busch still leads in Texas at 77 laps, but green flag stops are beginning. Kyle Larson and Matt Kenseth are the first of the lead lap cars to hit pit road.
Yeah, Kenseth's called in and said, I got to come in. I can't drive this thing. So he had to come to pit road.
Jamie McMurray's in a lap after his teammate. Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. to the pit lane, and Ryan Newman.
And what will happen here, once some of these leaders start pitting, it will all happen in a short period of time. Chris?
Well, Dale Jr. up 17 spots since he had to come back to pit lane for that one loose wheel. He's pretty happy with the car, especially late in the run, but he is saying he's having a little bit of contact with the splitter deep in the corners.
Trevor Bayne, Casey Mears in, Ricky Stenhouse to pit road, Martin Truex, Tony Stewart, Paul Menard. Jamie?
Martin Truex Jr. saying they're getting better for the longer run, and that's what their focus was in practice. They weren't where they wanted to be, but Cole Purr and the crew chief said those adjustments should work, and they are so far early in this run. Tony Stewart, the 14, been decent today. They took a swing at it, been working on the car, 4-sticker tires. They filled them up with some Sunoco fuel. And the 48 of Jimmie Johnson is in. Been happy with this car, just a bit free. The car has been staying very consistent, and it's had good raw speed, and that's what they were happy with. You see, they made a track bar adjustment there in 4 tires. Matt?
Harvick already in. His car started to come to him near the end of that run. Rodney Childers going to make an air pressure change. Meanwhile, his teammate, pole sitter Kurt Busch, is in, as well as Joey Logano. Now, Busch, they're going to undo their wedge adjustment on the previous stop. It was 2 free on exit. And the 11, Denny Hamlin in. His car, much as it's been since the drop of the green, way too tight. Jamie.
And Casey Mears, he's been on the loose side all race long. They've been adjusting a little bit, but he's been happy with his car since they unloaded yesterday. Tried 2 different setups, went with the one they thought would work, and it has, Matt.
And his teammate Jeff Gordon's in. You can see the wrench in the back window, chassis adjustment for Gordon. He said the car was not as bad on exit, but it was still way too tight on entry and landing.
And that cycles the lead back to Brad Keselowski, who made his stop earlier because of a loose wheel.
Tell you one thing, I saw when Brad came in and got those tires, I know one thing, if I get a shot near the end of the race and it's 4 tires, I'm taking 4 tires. That car flew for a number of laps.
Michael Annett is the one car who has yet to pit. He's in second place.
Yeah, there's no question. If you've only run 6 or 8 laps, you're going to come to pit road and get 4 fresh tires. What Brad Keselowski, Paul Wolf, and his 2, what they need is maybe about a 15 or 20 lap run here. Then they need the caution, and that would even everyone back out, because right now they've got about 15 laps on these tires versus all the fresh tires they'll be up against.
Michael Annett pits out of second place. He's the last car to do so. 1 penalty on this round of green flag stops. Ricky Stenhouse too fast entering. He's already served his pass-through penalty.
Clint Boyer just hit the wall in turn 2, I think. If he didn't hit it, he got mighty darn close. He's coming to pit road. I think he got up into it. It looked to me like he did. Oh.
There's Boyer coming down the pit lane at pit road speed, and the right front looks flat.
Must be, yeah. I don't see any damage on the right side of the car. So the car just took off as if it was going to hit the wall, but obviously got a problem there.
And I'm mistaken, the lettering good on the Goodyear tires. That tire was not down. It's just the attitude of the car, but they're going to put 4 on it and send it back out.
Well, I'd say based on what we've seen tonight, there seems to be a loose wheel disease going around tonight because the number of those teams are fighting that.
And what we're hearing is the left rear was loose. So that's twice now they've had loose lugs on the left side.
Seventh place battle here. Casey Kane and Martin Truex as Chris Buescher makes an unscheduled stop.
Yeah, Buescher was trying to get on pit road when Boyer was coming around the apron. He couldn't get on pit road, had to make an extra lap coming around.
Jamie?
Well, just an update on the 2 of Brad Keselowski. Paul Wolfe took a look at those tires that came off the car, and he said that the tires spun on the rim. He said we weren't in danger. We would have been fine if we stayed out, but Brad just apologized and said the vibration was too bad. Larry and Daryl, maybe you guys can explain what exactly that means when the tire spins on the rim. We're hearing a lot about that lately.
Yeah, these tires get balanced just like your passenger cars get balanced. And obviously if the tire moves on the rim, it throws it out of balance. And normally when that will happen, it could have even happened on low air pressure with him spinning the tires leaving pit road.
That's when it probably happens. The pressures are so low and you take off and it just spins the tire, the wheel on the tire. A lot of sprint cars and mostly sprint cars, they run what they call a bead lock, where they actually lock the tire to the wheel. We don't do that here, but that low air pressure, sometimes you get that.
We always like to look at green flag pit stops. It's the 2 laps that includes the stop. This would be driver getting on and off pit road. And you can see right there, David Reagan was the quickest of the drivers with Kevin Harvick, one of our leaders right now, running in the 4th position. But that's the pit stop, the trip down pit road, and coming onto and off pit road.
Yeah, those Gibbs teams are knocking out some fast pit stops. I mean, 11 seconds, Larry.
Yep, nice work there. Tony Stewart lost 5 spots in that green flag cycle. He went from 10th to 15th as Brad Keselowski leads.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by KFC, the world's best chicken. How do you, KFC?
93 laps complete in Texas. Brad Keselowski's Ford leading. Let's have a look at tonight's Ford EcoBoost track facts. Ford, with 12 Texas wins, leads all NASCAR car manufacturers at Texas Motor Speedway. Jeff Burton won the inaugural Sprint Cup race here in 1997. Track facts by Ford go further. Now, Keselowski has 14 more laps on his tires than all the drivers who stopped under green at lap 80 and 81.
But what I'm impressed, he still has a 5.5-second lead, and his lap times are not that far off. Our rules analyst, Andy Petrie, and I were talking before the broadcast, and we both kind of had the same feel from the garage area that, yeah, Kevin Harvick would be strong, Jimmy Johnson would be strong, but a lot of fingers were being pointed at that number 2 car, Brad Keselowski.
Well, I think, Larry, they proved that to me in qualifying because the car was not good in the first qualifying session. I don't know what they did to it down there in the pits, but they did something, and he went back out, and he was able to make it all the way to the final 12. So that car showed speed on those old tires.
So Keselowski leading, Jimmy Johnson 2nd, Kevin Harvick 3rd, and Kurt Busch in 4th, Matt.
Mike, coming into tonight, Tony Gibson told me his biggest concern was that the temperatures came down, the mid-corner speeds would really pick up, and that would hurt traditionally the 41's exit, making it too free. And you can see right there, the car is way too free on exit just about every run tonight. Kurt has been saying that the car has had a different balance issue.
Thanks, Matt. New tires, fresh tires mean so much. When Brad Keselowski came in by himself to replace a loose wheel, went back on track with 4 fresh tires, we timed Keselowski and teammate Joey Logano through the middle of turns 1 and 2. And Keselowski on new tires was 14 miles per hour faster in the middle of the corner than his teammate. That's huge.
It is huge. And one of the reasons why, Mike, is because with this engine combination, if you can stay in the gas, keep your momentum up, keep that thing moving, you can run lap times like that. But when you have to start rolling out late back to the throttle, you don't have the acceleration that we've had in the past. That's when your lap times go down.
But it's just grip. It's like a brand new pair of tennis shoes versus one you've used for about a year. The new ones just have a lot more grip.
And the other thing, Larry, we're talking about the cars and they're going through a transition. They're going to go through a transition. As the sun goes down and it starts to get dark, what the guy's got to do, and Larry was good at it, Hammond was good at it, you got to tell that driver, don't panic. Don't panic. The car's going to go through a little bit of a transition here, but it's going to be fine later on in the evening.
We've had 29 Sprint Cup races at Texas, and they've all had a green flag run of 63 laps or more. That's where we are right now, since the first and only caution flag of the race flew at lap 32.
Yeah, and looking at the trends that I look at, if you look at the last 10 spring races, which has been NASCAR on Fox, the average longest green flag run is right about 110 laps, which is 2 full fuel runs.
Just think about the amount of time it takes to run this race. About 3.5, almost 4 hours. Have you ever gotten in your car and driven for 3.5 or 4 hours and never moved, never got out of that position for that amount of time? It's almost impossible to do. And that's what these guys are faced with. We've been running now since our last yellow flag 30 solid minutes at right at 195 miles an hour. So when I say they make it look easy, Jordan Spieth makes playing golf look easy. These guys are pros, and that they make it look easy.
Well, I know one driver making it look easy, Casey Kane in that 5. It looks like Keith Rodden. They continue to make that car better for Casey. I'm not sure Kurt Busch in the 41 car that he's battling for that 4th spot is quite as good as he was when he was out there leading this race.
Well, you heard him say the car's tightened up a good bit, or it's got that little bit of push loose off the corner, but I really think they'll work that out as the evening goes on.
Well, now, prior to the pit stops at lap 80, Kurt Busch enjoyed a 0.6 of a second lead over Jimmy Johnson in 2.4 seconds ahead of Kevin Harvick. That's now swung the other way with Busch in 5th place. Right now about 4.5 seconds behind Johnson. Keselowski leads, but he's going to need to be on pit road 14 laps sooner than the rest of these lead lap drivers.
Yeah, Mike, he'll probably, he can run, and I know they're notorious for being able to stretch fuel. He probably can go about another 18 to 20 laps.
But he's not. I tell you, he's going to be in pretty good shape, Larry, because of he's able to run really good lap times on those older tires. So he's going to be able to get in and out of the pits. He might come out just behind the leaders. I don't think he might lose a lap, but that'll be it.
Well, I think Brad Keselowski would like to see a caution. Another driver I think that would love to see one is Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88 car. He got behind because of the loose lugs. He has made his way back into the top 10, 14 seconds. If he could catch a caution, he could get caught back up in this thing.
Well, he was 10th when he pitted. 67 laps later, he's made up that entire deficit, and he's back to 10th place. 230 laps to go, 104 complete. Brad Keselowski's Ford out in front of 5 fast Chevrolets.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Ford F-150, introducing the all-new Ford F-150, the future of tough. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of NASCAR. Coca-Cola, open happiness. Lap 109 here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Caution is out as Jimmy Johnson takes the lead from Brad Keselowski. Debris on the backstretch with Michael Waltrip. Chris Myers, here's the lead change.
Jimmy's been coming to. His tires are a little bit fresher, but he's had the fastest car on the racetrack, and you can see he makes easy work of Brad Keselowski driving around the high side and taking the lead.
So now 7 lead changes, our 5th different leader, and you just wondered when Jimmy Johnson, who dominated Atlanta, has had success here in the past, at least on this track, was going to move to the front.
Well, he was so impressive at Atlanta, like you said. Won here last fall. This is a Jimmy Johnson type racetrack.
Pit stops coming, and let's check in first with Jamie Little.
Lucky break for Brad Keselowski. He was going to have to pit at least in the next 8 laps, so now here is his chance. The car is pretty good. He's just losing a little bit of rear grip. 4-tire stop. Kasey Kahne, meanwhile, the car has been good. They didn't make a single change to it last stop, only tires. And Jimmie Johnson, the 48, his car's been good. Feels like he's driving crazy, but the car is back where they started the race, and they're happy. Matt?
The second stop for Kevin Harvick. He has slid the car in the pit box. The car was tight in practice. They figured that would equate to a magical sweet spot for the race. Great battle off, but the car has been way too free much of this event.
Thank you, Matt.
You can see the battle off pit road. That's a tight pit road. 3 and 4 wide on there can cause some damage. It looks like everybody got off okay. Chris, for the rest of this race, you got to watch those 4 Hendrick Motorsports Chevys. They're going to be strong from here on out.
Kurt Busch has led the most laps. Jimmie Johnson currently your leader. NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Paul Blart. Mall Cop 2, starring Kevin James, in theaters April 17th.
Hey again, NASCAR fans. Ready, set, go see Paul Blart Mall Cop 2! Beep, 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 beep. Oh, wait, comes out Friday. Go on Friday. Go see it on Friday. In the meantime, stick around for more NASCAR right here on Fox. Beep, beep.
Safety never takes a holiday. When duty calls, Paul Blart answers. Kevin James and Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 in theaters this Friday. We're under caution at Texas at 112 laps. Sprint will cut your rate plan in half. Bring them your Verizon or AT&T wireless bill. Turn in your old phone. They'll cut your rate plan in half at a Sprint retail store or sprint.com/half price. Kevin Harvick on lap 2. Fastest lap of the race, and on this round of pit stops, Denny Hamlin drove through too many pit boxes, exiting his pit stall. He was 17th. He'll lose 3 or 4 spots for the restart. No, actually, tail end longest line is the penalty. Although there are 21 cars on the lead lap, Trevor Bayne got the free pass on this caution flag as the safety truck was out picking up debris just past the exit of turn number 2, and they did some sweeping up near the outside wall of turns 1 and 2 while we were under caution.
Just think about poor Denny Hamlin. His nights just hadn't started off well at all.
Jamie McMurray was missing lug nuts, so for 9th he had to come back in, and he'll restart 22nd. Here we go. Green flag, Jimmie Johnson, Kevin Harvick. Three wide for 7th. Wow. Power move on the outside. Dale Jr. in the 88. Took him 3 wide, had the run off the corner, and is on the move.
Boy, they were stacked up over there off turn 2, but looks like they're going to sort it out and make it. You just don't realize when these cars are bunched up like this, the turbulence that comes off these cars at this speed. It's really almost like being in a tornado. I mean, the cars shake from the air. They move around. They're really violent when they're in packs like this.
Earnhart emerges at 5th place. But look at this knot of cars coming up off turn 4. 9th place at stake. Logano, Gordon, Larson, and Edwards.
Yeah, right there in the thick of that pack right there. 3 of the Joe Gibbs Toyota drivers. Edwards in the 19, Kenseth in the 20, and Reagan in the 18.
Jamie?
Matt Kenseth has not been happy with his car tonight. Just extremely loose. Actually, his last radio, he said the right front is going to Fort Worth and the left front is going to Denton. So that gives you an idea where he stands early in this race.
He needs to recalculate his GPS.
Yeah, Denton's about 11 miles northwest. Fort Worth's about 20 miles south of here to downtown.
It got some issues.
You know, Michael Waltrip mentioned the Hendrick Chevrolet drivers. They all are running up in the top 5 or 6, except for Jeff Gordon is 24. He continues to lose spots and slide backwards. I still just don't think they have the balance that he's looking for front and rear in that race car.
No, apparently not, Larry. I mean, Just looks like he's having to run up high even on new tires. Normally you get the new tires on, you're going to run that bottom as long as you can. That's the quickest, shortest way around the track. Then you might move up the hill a little bit when things start to wear a little bit and get up a little bit. But right now he should be hooking the bottom.
But how many times have we seen it at this racetrack, knowing that the night time is the right time? Drivers that are fast here in sunlight may not be nearly so quick once the sun goes down. Johnson and Harvick have to come in here as the favorites. In the last 5.5 mile races, Harvick 3 times, Johnson twice. That would mean it's Jimmy's turn. He has now led almost 900 laps at this racetrack, but less than 30% of those have come in the spring race. He dominates the fall here.
And we just saw some real action over there. The yellow car and the blue car, 16 and 51. They were up the hill. I thought they were into the wall, but they were able to save them. Not sure that battle's over with yet. Looks to me like Biffle was a little bit ticked. You can see some damage to the rear of the 51 car of Allgaier there with the quarter panel pooched out. Not sure what happened there.
And these guys are back there battling for 24th.
Now Trevor Bayne inside both of them, trying to capitalize. So there's 2 of the Roush Fenway cars against Allgaier's 51. Bayne goes by. Here comes Josh Wise in the 98. Biffle completed the pass as Jimmy Johnson has now opened up a 1-second lead on Kevin Harvick.
Let's see if we can get an idea about what happened here between the 16 and the 51. Well, the 51 just got loose and walks up the track right in front of Biffle. And I'm assuming they made a little contact when I see the right rear quarter panel of that 51 car. Very little contact, but that's what happened. The 51 got loose, walked up in front of Biffle. There you go.
Now that's a big parachute.
It is. I don't think that's legal. They got to push that back in.
That's the wrong end of the tire, though.
Whoops.
If you want it out, you want it in the front of the tire.
Oh, man. Darn the bad luck.
Jimmy Johnson's the all-time lap leader here, but let's not give the race away just yet. Dusk descends on Texas Motor Speedway. The lights are out. No, the lights are on, not out. Excuse me. The stars come out. Sounds like a good time for us to stand quiet. And we give you a Fox NASCAR Crank It Up. New leader Kevin Harvick passes Jimmy Johnson on the outside coming off turn 4.
Harvick's committed to the outside up high, and Jimmy Johnson was committed to the bottom. But now that Jimmy Johnson sees Harvick go by him on the outside, Jimmy Johnson's going to move up. But the next guy that's going to be looking at the rear bumper of that 48 car is the 2 car Keselowski, who's closing in pretty quick. So that's a great battle, first, second, and third right there.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski is about 0.2 of a lap quicker than Jimmy Johnson in that 48.
Unscheduled stop for Ricky Stenhouse as Kevin Harvick once again leads. He's now led 36 laps tonight. Matt?
Mike, Joey Logano's win here a year ago was the first of 5 in 2014. But That was in the daytime. Now we're racing this year at night. So Todd Gordon had to go back several years and look at old notes and also look at some notes from here in the fall. And it basically told him how this track changes. It transitions through almost every one, and he has to stay on top of it. Logano, bottom dweller preferably, but he says he's having to try to move up. The car is too free on entry and exit. It's a little tighter on the high side, Jamie.
And Carl Edwards, when they unloaded yesterday, he told me the balance has been good on this car, close to perfect. They were just missing some speed. Well, in tonight's race, he's been loose in, loose off, tight middle. They've been battling it. He was running 16th until the last stop. They made a wedge adjustment and air pressure adjustment. Carl's on his way forward, running 11th now, Chris.
And Danica Patrick is running him right at 20th most of the night, but since that last restart, she's up to 15th. And Daniel Knost, her crew chief, has said he's really been digging through the notes from last year, trying to figure out what makes her like these mile-and-a-half tracks. He said it's really the center of the corner, how the car rotates. He said at Kansas last year, she said it was very comfortable in how it rotated in the center. He said that's the key right now for us, trying to find that comfort.
I just think a big key for Danica Patrick, I listened to your interview with her in the pre-race, the confidence level that she has right now in herself and her race team.
No, and her and Knost, they seem to really hit it off. They communicate well, and she is as happy and confident as I think I've ever seen her since you've been in the Sprint Cup.
.134 laps complete. Here's your Budweiser race summary. Kevin Harvick back in the lead. He's now led 46 laps. The first of 22 lead lap cars. 5 different leaders, 10 lead changes. 1 caution for Alex Kennedy's spin and 1 for debris. That's all so far. Stewart-Haas Racing started on the front row, inside and outside, and they led a race high 90 of 134 laps. Only 2 cars in the garage. J.J. Yaley out early, and Ryan Blaney took the sick engine in his Wood Brothers Ford to the garage.
You know, Mike, at the top of the show when Kevin was up there leading, you talked about him only leading 8 laps in his first 24 starts here. And Darrell talked about they just have no weaknesses. Coming into this race, Kevin and his 14, they had led 670 laps in the first 6 races of this year. The last time a driver did that was Tony Stewart, his teammate, back in 2006, when in the first 6 races he led 685.
And Larry, you know what that 4 car proves to me and anybody that's down in that pit area on pit road? If you got a good race car, it don't matter if the sun's in, the sun's out, if it's daylight or dark. If you got a good race car, it's going to be up front leading the race just like he is. You got a fickle race car when it's weather sensitive and tire sensitive and everything line sensitive. That's a fickle race car. That car right there, it doesn't know it. It just knows to go fast wherever he wants to put it.
Kevin Harvick leading Jimmy Johnson by a full second. Beautiful sunset here in Texas, just north of Fort Worth. Brad Keselowski in 3rd, and Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s passed a lot of cars tonight. 39 positions tonight he's gained. He went from 23rd to 10th, and then from 30th to 4th. As we go for a nationwide inside ride with the number 88.
You know, one thing that I've noticed about this engine combination, the engines in the past, last year and all, they had a constant sound to them. They would just go through a steady climb. This engine with the tapered spacer, listen to it. It comes off the corner, and all of a sudden it picks up a little bit of more RPM, a little bit more speed. Then it does it again as it goes down the straightaway. So it kind of goes in cycles almost. Picks up, changes sound, picks up, changes sound.
Chris?
Well, Mike, as you said, Dale Jr., one of the hardest chargers tonight. He said he's got great takeoff speed, and the splitter no longer hitting the racetrack. He has talked a little bit about a vibration in that 88 car, but the team not too concerned because he has one of the fastest cars out there. He just told the team, hey, I have been messing with the track bar adjuster, but it keeps messing up the rear end of the car. And his crew chief Greg Ives said, well, then stop messing with the track bar adjuster.
I like that. That's a smart crew chief right there.
That's good advice. Yeah. Let's roll back to 7th place and see if Kurt Busch has an issue, Matt.
The Pole Sitter telling his team that the car is tight on entry and landing, a little bit free on exit, but this is the best that they have been all night. You mentioned a concern about an issue. Kurt did report in that he has a slight vibration. He didn't specify loose wheel, but he did say he has a slight vibration, so they're watching that here from the 41 pin.
Well, the stopwatch doesn't know it because he's running identical lap times to the cars around him from 7th through 10th.
But you know, a driver that's right behind him, in fact, pulling right up to him, Paul Menard in that 27 car, qualified 8th, sitting in the top 10 in points, just solid every week. But I have to be honest, we've seen this a lot out of Paul Menard at the beginning of the season. The tail of the tape will be, can they maintain throughout the summer and into the fall?
Yeah, well, maybe, you know, we got a new crew chief, and I'm sure that the new crew chief has looked at their performance over the last several years and seen the same thing we see year in and year out. Really great to halfway. What are we doing wrong in the second half of the year? Maybe their new crew chief can figure that out and fix it.
That's Justin Alexander. They started 8th tonight, and that's where they're running. Here's a look at his season to date.
Well, I like that. It's going the right direction. Now, obviously, they had a little bit of a problem at Martinsville. But whenever you see the graph going that direction, that's what you want to see.
That 4th place finish on the worn pavement at Auto Club Speedway. The high mark for Menard's early season. Jimmie Johnson is reeling in Kevin Harvick. The gap now just 0.7 of a second, and Johnson's last lap was 0.2 quicker than that of the race leader.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side.
149 laps complete. Here's how you've been enjoying the weekend at Texas Motor Speedway. A lot of those hashtag Steve selfies for our Fox colleague Steve Burns. Some of the great postings on social media. Next week at Bristol, the race title is the Food City 500 in support of Steve Burns and Stand Up to Cancer. What a great initiative by the folks at Fox Sports and Speedway Motorsports at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yeah, he and Bryson are watching this race right now. He got out of the hospital today and went home, and he's watching the race at home. And buddy, we miss you. We love you. Praying for you. Can't wait to see you.
Absolutely.
There's that 2nd place car of Jimmie Johnson. He has cut the distance in half during that commercial break from 0.7 of a second down to about 3.5. Now it grows just a little bit as they come up on Clint Bowyer, but Johnson is there.
Well, you know what happened. You know, you heard Chad Canal say, Jimmy, what was he doing? Changed his line. Kevin Harvick changed his line. He went to the bottom and ran a few laps, and Jimmy closed. Now Kevin's gone back up high where he was making the best time. He might just be inching away from him now.
And if we stay green 8 to 10, maybe up to 12 laps, we'll see a flurry of green flag pit stops again.
You got to test the water. If you've been running that high line, you want to drop down on that bottom and see, maybe I'm losing some time. Maybe I can make up some time if I try a different line. But most of the time, these drivers are smart enough to know where they need to be. You can see that lead has grown ever since Kevin went back. Now, see, he's flirting around a little bit. Now, watch how Jimmy closes. Jimmy closes when he tries to run low. Kevin goes back high and gets away from him.
But Larry, what a great time to try this for both drivers to experiment near the end of a long run.
And I'm not sure there's two better drivers that will move around and try things and build their notebook for the later stages of the race than Jimmie Johnson and Kevin Harvick.
Boy, Joey Logano trying to bust his way through traffic. That's David Gilliland up high in the 38, whose son Todd got his first big late model race win. 3rd generation driver this weekend. 34, Chris Buescher, and the 95. That's Michael McDowell driving for the Dallas-based Levine family racing team. 13th place, Jeff Gordon threads the needle. That's Alex Bowman up high. Right behind the 31 of Ryan Newman, and David Reagan right in there in the 18. Matt, how about the 24?
Mike, a year ago he lost this race on the last lap to Joey Logano. Right now, though, he runs in 13th, and they have totally lost the handle on the 24.
Basically just going in the corner and pushing, you know, just waiting for it to turn. And when it does, and it just does it all at once. Okay, we're trying to figure something out.
Got a long time to work on and 180 laps to go as Jimmie Johnson retakes the lead from Kevin Harvick. Danica Patrick, A.J. Allmendinger in the pit lane as green flag stops begin. Paul Menard is in, so is Carl Edwards. Austin Dillon. And a flurry of cars suddenly on pit road.
You know, Mike, Jimmie Johnson, Matt Kenseth, they both got 17 top 10 finishes here. And they both also, Jimmie Johnson has an average finish now of ninth place.
Matt?
Mike, the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Issues on pit road once again. Sideways in the box, the car, like it's been from the drop of the green, just way on the tight side, cannot get the car to free up.
And Jimmie Johnson making his way down. Meanwhile, the 20 and Matt Kenseth just had a handful underneath him, just saying he was on a scale 1 to 10, a 10 loose. Just cannot get control of that car. Meanwhile, the 48, pretty good. He said he starts off okay, and he gets just a little bit loose. 4-tire stop for Jimmie Johnson. Chris?
Dale Jr. very happy with the 88 car, saying it's great early in the run. Later in the run, however, as it's cooling off, he said that car getting tighter and tighter, so they're going to try and free him up, especially in the center of the corner.
See Kevin Harvick in the 4 coming on the pit road. I would say with Jimmie Johnson pitting a lap early, he's going to have the lead when this all cycles through.
I love that 48 pit stop, though. The pit crew guys, they got lights on their helmet.
Matt?
And an update on Kevin Harvick. He said near the end of that run that the car was tight on entry to the corner, but it was just extremely free on exit. That's where he was losing most of his time, and he's away.
Kasey Kahne leads for the first time tonight. And he'll be the last driver on the lead lap to cycle through to pit road. Here comes the number 5. Jamie.
And Kasey Kahne saying he's just freer now. Feels like he was dragging the right front too loose, so they'll adjust for that. They'll fill him up with Sunoco fuel. There is the chassis adjustment and a 4-tire stop for Kasey Kahne, who's had a solid night. The car has been good all weekend.
Another example of those LEDs attached to the helmet. In fact, Texas Motor Speedway has put LEDs on all the fence poles on the grandstand side to light up for caution flags. Everybody will know when the caution is out, not just the drivers. Several incidents on this round of green flag pit stop, not penalties, but just, let's say, issues. Kyle Larson locks him up coming in. Denny Hamlin angles into his stop and out again. Ooh, close calls.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Project Rushmore. Our next epic journey starts here. And by Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving the armed forces and their families for over 80 years.
.165 laps complete. Landon Cassill went way slow up high between turns 3 and 4, and then when an opening presented, dove down onto pit road.
I mean, the car took off as if something bad or something had happened to it. Not sure if he's got a tire down or what, but the car just took off.
But this like to have been big right here.
It's got, you see right there, he just went up, 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 up. I thought he tagged the wall. He didn't. It appears the left front tire is down on that car.
Nice job by his spotter, finding him a break in the traffic to get down and out of harm's way. He didn't have much time to do that. See why one of the most revered names in NASCAR trusts the most winning name in NASCAR at Chevy.com/Dale Jr. Jimmie Johnson leading Kevin Harvick by 1 second. As we close in on halfway, Brad Keselowski's forward in third, and the Chevys of Earnhardt and Kane fill the top 5. There's the lead distance with Kevin Harvick 1 second back.
A big part of that is because Jimmie Johnson came to pit road 1 lap before Kevin Harvick.
Yep.
It's another 2.5 back to Brad Keselowski's Ford. A well-timed caution for debris got him back on the same pit cycle as the rest of the leaders. Now Dale Jr. is 2 seconds behind Keselowski, 5.6 back of the leader in 4th place. He overcame a loose wheel, and Kasey Kahne, who's been strong in all the practice sessions this week, 2 seconds back of Earnhardt, and 7.5 behind race leader Jimmie Johnson. Coming up, our Fox NASCAR mid-race report. We're at halfway in Texas.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Cialis.
Look at all those yellow LED lights on all of the fence poles facing the grandstand, so the fans as well as drivers know that caution is out. It's the 3rd time tonight, and it's for debris high in turn number 3 at lap 172, just past the halfway point in this race. Pit road is open. Here they all come. Jamie.
And Jimmie Johnson said the car's about the same, but he thinks they're gaining on it. He's been using his track bar adjuster inside the car. Brad Keselowski says the car is a little bit free, but it's getting better as well. 4 tires stop here. Let's go to Chris.
And Dale Jr. saying the car a little bit tight down in 1 and 2 and a little bit tight in the entry of 3, but saying let's not make too many adjustments. Overall, we've got a good car. Matt?
Kevin Harvick started second, runs second. He says when he gets going, his car is fine balance-wise. He just needs a little bit more help. Drive off on exit. Solid stop.
Kurt Busch finishing up at pit stall number 1 on the left side as Jimmie Johnson wins the race off pit road from Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Paul Menard.
Yeah, Paul Menard's crew, they had a great pit stop there.
Boy, they're nailing it. But you know, sometimes all the guns now sound like what the Gibbs guns sound like earlier at the end of last year, earlier this year. Got that whine to them. Wow, 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 wow. 11-second pit stops. Woo!
While we're under caution, time for the Fox NASCAR mid-race report. Chris Myers.
All right, Mike, a couple of drivers who have won this season but never won in Texas showed some strength in the first half of this race. Kevin Harvick has led the most laps, 68. Brad Keselowski has led 27 laps. Jimmie Johnson, of course, the most wins in Texas, but Matt Kenseth has the best career average finish here worth keeping an eye on. Darrell Waltrip, who are you watching?
Well, my man's been struggling. Toyota's been struggling a little bit, but Carl Edwards, I just got a good feeling about Carl tonight. He just came out of the pits in the top 5. I like that 19 car. Keep an eye on Carl Edwards.
I talked about Dale Earnhardt Jr. before this race started being a great pick at 12-1. He started outside the top 20. He drove into the top 10, had some problems on pit road. 30th to top 5 again. Watch for Dale Earnhardt Jr. to be the man late in this race.
Michael, Chris mentioned Brad Keselowski. Weeks ago, he went to victory lane. He's never won at Texas. He ran the race last night, finished second. I think maybe Brad will be in victory lane. Edwards in that 19 car. He's cracked the top 5. Still looking for a year. It's top 10 finish of the year.
That team, that driver, they have got to be able. They'll get there. They got to be able to win some races. The team good. And I think the team's good.
And he's racing for a million reasons, because if he can win this race, his sponsors, Ace and Stanley, $1 million to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals.
Jamie?
He breaks hard a little bit. He even told me today, if we finish in the it's getting better. He's a little bit loose on the short run, and right now getting a lot of pressure from Brad Keselowski.
Longest stretch of his career without a top 10 finish, but he has been competitive. Now Keselowski to the inside, looking for that 4th place spot.
Yeah, and I think right here is a situation where Carl just has to recognize that Brad Keselowski's a little faster than I am, and I'm not going to get myself in trouble trying to hold him up. Drive the car, run the car to whatever pace it's comfortable and safe at, but don't get in trouble here. Carl's been pushing pretty hard trying to get that finish he's been looking for.
Back at 16th, Danica Patrick, Jamie McMurray behind Denny Hamlin and ahead of Austin Dillon and Eric Almirola.
Yeah, Jamie McMurray's still trying to overcome having to come back to pit road because he had loose lug nuts all the way back at lap 110.
Tell you, that little green car down on the bottom there, bottom right of your screen, Paul Menard, they've had great pit stops. The car has been fast, running up in the top 5. Nice run tonight for Paul Menard and that group.
Yeah, Paul has that one Sprint Cup Series win. That was a big one back at Indianapolis in 2011.
Tony Stewart, you know, I expected more from Stewart tonight. He's in 22nd. It's still early, but I would have expected Stewart to be rattling somewhere around the top 15 by now, Darrell.
Well, he was just a little bit ago, but all of a sudden, I don't know if something happened to the car. He got pushed out of line. I'm not sure what happened, but man, he fell back all at once.
8th place, Kurt Busch coming after Kasey Kahne, and here comes David Ragan in the Joe Gibbs number 18. A hello to Kyle Busch. Saw he and Samantha tweeted a picture a couple of days ago. Kyle standing without a cast on either leg. That's certainly good news that Kyle's recovery is coming along.
Yeah, he's getting a little antsy. I know that. I talked to him, and he said, man, I'm wanting to get back to the track. I'm getting ready to go now.
And Darrell, you've said it. I'm sure Kyle Busch will be able to come back a lot quicker than most people would be able to recover from that type of an injury.
Yes, sir. I know he's motivated. I know he's working hard. He's doing all the rehab and doing everything he needs to do.
There's that picture.
There he is. Look at that.
April 5th, no more casts.
Good for him.
And soon to be a papa.
That's right.
Here in about a month and a half.
And David Ragan doing a nice job tonight, maintaining a top 10 pace.
I tell you, overall, I think Reagan's done a very good job. He's staying in there with the other Gibbs cars. He's 12th in the points. I mean, he's a substitute driver. I know he wants to win in that car, but his biggest role is just to get the car home with the best finish he can safely every week.
And 2 spots behind David Ragan, Kyle Larson, Kurt Busch, and Matt Kenseth fight over 11th place.
You know, the worst thing can happen to a guy if he's subbing for somebody in a car like that 18, if he goes out and wrecks it every week trying too hard. By the same token, you got to push it, but you also got to bring that car home in one piece. That's what they hired you to do.
Kevin Harvick trails Jimmie Johnson by 1.1 seconds with 149 laps to go.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Sprint. Bring in your Verizon or AT&T bill and we'll cut your rate plan in half. And by McDonald's.
190 laps complete. Sprint will cut your rate plan in half. Bring them your Verizon or AT&T bill. Turn in your own phone that cuts your rate plan in half at a Sprint retail store or at sprint.com/half price. Now, Jimmie Johnson has the most wins here, but they are fall wins in this spring race. He's been second 4 times, but tonight he could become the 10th straight different winner of the Spring Texas race. His lead shrinking 3/4 of a second now on Kevin Harvick, with Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2.7 seconds back in 3rd. Now, pole sitter Kurt Busch is back in 15th, 12 seconds off the lead. Matt?
Fighting a balance issue before that stop. Kurt told his team that the car felt like it was almost bound up, like he had the handbrake pulled up. Tony Gibson put the race car setting back to where they started this event, minus a small air pressure adjustment. He said it has not helped. The car just continues to get tighter and tighter. Jamie?
And Kasey Kahne was running in the top 5 most of this race. Right now he slipped back to 8th and could have a little problem.
Getting a vibration in my front end on entry. Started 2 laps ago. 10-4, keep us posted. Hasn't got it done worse, just a little bit worse. It gets a ton worse, you come to us. We're ready.
Well, now that's 20 laps since he's been on pit road, Larry. Is that unlikely to be a loose lug nut problem?
Not necessarily, because we saw some other drivers that went this far into a run and they were starting to feel a vibration. But remember what Matt said about Kurt Busch. He said right before the last caution, which was about 25 laps ago, I think that's when this track went through the huge swing, the huge change. We went to total darkness, and I think that's when the grip level of this track is really changing.
And then 2 things to remember. The 4 and the 41 have almost identical setups. So obviously the guys on the 41 car went the wrong direction on their adjustments, whether it's air pressure, wedge. Maybe he's run the track bar up and down, but they've made the car worse. They need to figure out what they did and do what the 4's been doing.
see right there, a good 10 degrees in track temp. I mean, that's the big change. Yeah, the air temp, not a lot, but that track temp, that's gaining some grip.
But that's an anticipation, Larry, that you have to, that the crew chief has to have. He has to know what this track is going to do halfway through this race, anticipate that, and make the proper changes so that the car stays good all night long.
And you have to stay ahead of that. You got to do it prior to.
So Jimmie Johnson leading Kevin Harvick by 1.7 and Dale Earnhardt Jr. by 2.7 seconds. Here's a nationwide performance update on Dale Jr. from Chris.
And Dale Jr. bouncing back after problems at Martinsville 2 weeks ago with the vibration and the shifter braking there. Having a good run here tonight. Last night he ran in the Xfinity race, a rare appearance for Dale Jr. in one of those races. He finished second. He told me before this race he actually did learn a couple things. And as you guys were talking about, anticipating the direction of the track, that was the biggest takeaway last night. As the track changed, as it cooled off, he said that's going to help out tonight.
Yeah, I just don't know how these guys cannot run these companion events, these Xfinity races, because we're hearing it over and over and over again how similar the cars are.
Here is Kasey Kahne for an unscheduled stop, Jamie.
And that vibration got a ton worse for Kasey Kahne as he went. He couldn't stay out any longer. They brought it in, 4-sticker tires here. They'll fill them up with Sunoco fuel, and hopefully that was the problem.
And we're good 20-plus laps before the leader should be to pit road. What Kasey Kahne hopes, he's going to be in the same position possibly as Brad Keselowski earlier. He needs this thing to go for a little while because right now he's going to be about 2 seconds a lap quicker than like leader Jimmie Johnson in his 48.
He'll be just about 50% off cycle from the rest of the teams. It was 24 laps ago that he was last on pit road.
And Mike, when a vibration, when you first start feeling, you say, oh no, I think I got a vibration. And then you question yourself. Is it something that's serious? Is it something I need to be worried about? And you drive along a few laps, and then it starts getting worse, and you know you've got to make that unscheduled pit stop.
This has been a good battle for the last 5 minutes or so. Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch with Jamie McMurray and Austin Dillon settled in favor of Hamlin for the moment. Now they're about 16 seconds behind race leader Jimmie Johnson, but fighting hard for 15th.
But Denny Hamlin's been working for a while now trying to overcome that penalty back on lap 110 where he drove through too many pit boxes on the exit.
Kurt Busch way up high there. We listened in.
Still really tight, right?
This car has no idea what it's doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Check back with me later.
All right, 10 more.
But what he's saying is the car has changed so drastically from the way it was. Now I don't know if it's me. Am I running the wrong line? Am I doing something wrong as a driver? Or is there something wrong with the race car? Get back to me when I figure it out.
It kind of reminds me of what Jeff Gordon was telling his crew earlier. The car was doing so many things and so unpredictable, he really didn't know what to tell them that the car was doing.
You don't want to tell them wrong, but by the same token, the crew chief's pulling his hair out, and the driver can't help him.
Look at the miles per hour difference right there in the last lap. Kasey Kahne on those 4 fresh Goodyear tires. I mean, that's, you know, over 5 miles per hour difference.
And Kasey Kahne was right. We've heard that the right rear wheel was loose on the number 5. That's why he came in.
Well, we've heard a lot of loose wheels tonight. More than normal.
132 laps complete. Jimmie Johnson stretching it out over Kevin Harvick.
NASCAR on Fox. Glad you're watching live. That's downtown Dallas, but the Texas Motor Speedway, the place to be tonight. 126 laps to go, covering 500 miles plus. Time for a KFC race break with Michael Waltrip. Chris Myers, glad to have you watching with us. Dale Earnhardt Jr. just moved into second behind Jimmie Johnson, but it was shaping up, and it still may. A Jimmie Johnson, Kevin Harvick showdown. In fact, 10 times those two greats have finished 1-2.
Yeah, but I just love that car of Junior's. He's racing toward the front as the race progresses into the evening. We talked about the track changing. I think this is about the way the track will be when the race is finishing. This car is really fast. His lap times right now, Chris, better than both Johnson and Harvick's.
Yeah, now Brad Keselowski in the 4th spot right now. Vibration on him early. Any concerns about him staying up front? The strategy, he already has a win in the bag, and how he plays this out. Does he want cautions? Does he want the long green flag runs?
I think he needs a shorter run, and a car that's really good on the longer run is the 27 of Paul Menard. You can see A.J. Allmendinger going between those two cars. He just came off pit road. That shows you the importance of tires, but the consistent, steady run of the 27 car of Paul Menard up into the 4th place, that's a story.
It's been a rough week for Richard Childress Racing. 130 races since Paul Menard's only win, and his best finish here in Texas, 5th. But as you said, currently he has moved into the top 5, running 4th. Meanwhile, Jimmie Johnson, 4-time winner here, dominated Atlanta. You knew early on he was going to be a player.
Well, he's been good since the start of the race, and that's just a bit of a concern for me. His car was good earlier. Can Chad Knaus make the right adjustments so that that thing stays great till the end? Junior's just gotten steadily better and better. His adjustments seem to be right on target.
Jimmy, the all-time lap leader at Texas, came into tonight 111 laps away from 1,000 laps led here, and Jimmy is now the lap leader tonight overall on his way to his 69th lap led, just ahead of Kevin Harvick. And that is your KFC race break up to the moment. Next weekend, NASCAR heading to Bristol. We'll have a special tribute to a member of the Fox family undergoing that courageous battle against cancer, our own Steve Burns. So the Food City 500 in support of Steve Burns and Stand Up to Cancer will begin the coverage 12:30 Eastern on Fox, always streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Let's head back upstairs to Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Thanks, Chris. 121 laps to go. Jimmie Johnson up 2 seconds on Dale Earnhardt Jr. now. Working their way through traffic. Kevin Harvick 3 back. Paul Menard 7 back. Menard looking for the first top 5 at Texas for Richard Childress Racing since he finished 5th here in 2011 in the spring race.
And Chris Myers mentioned his winning streak. Think about Richard Childress Racing. They've not been to victory lane since the next to the last race of 2013 when Kevin Harvick won at Phoenix.
There's the current streak, 43 races. Joey Logano going after Carl Edwards for 6th.
Watching Carl, he's got a decent car. But I'll tell you, another kid that's doing a nice job right behind these two right here is David Reagan in that 18 car. He's running in the top 10. He's trucking along right here behind Carl and Joey Logano. And he's doing a nice job right there. He comes right there. I'm pretty impressed with the run he's made.
Yeah, I think the only blemish they've really had this weekend was the qualifying effort, because they did show some good long run speed in practice yesterday.
Yeah, he had the fastest 10-lap average, but didn't get a good qualifying effort.
The Gibbs Toyotas right now, the 19 of Edwards is 7th. The 18 of Reagan is 8th. Matt Kenseth 11th. Denny Hamlin 15th. And they will be our Toyota top performers at lap 216 with 118 to go. You know, we were looking for trends on the Toyotas, and Russell and Jimmy unearthed that in the 500-mile races, the Toyotas as a group have performed better finishing positions than in the 400-mile races. So no worries about that extra 100-mile distance here in Texas tonight. Tony Stewart's on pit road, and so is Kurt Busch, his teammate.
Well, I think this is a little bit of strategy, because they were going to have to be on pit road in about 5 laps. Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart both were about to get lapped, so I think they decided to short pit. Matt.
Absolutely right, Larry Mack. That's the game plan for Kurt Busch in the 41. Comes to a stop. Now they're going to make a significant chassis adjustment and air pressure change. Remember, we documented just fighting total tight. Cannot get any freeness built into this car. It has swung back and forth through pretty much every segment of the race, and he's finally away.
Austin Dillon on pit road. Trevor Bayne really had to lock it up to keep from running over Eric Almirola, and Casey Mears is also making a stop. Here's a look at them coming onto pit road.
Pretty tough pit road.
He got into him.
Yeah, he did. Bumped him. Pretty tough pit road to get onto. You're way around here on turn 4 off of the corner. When you finally get down on pit road, pretty hard to get down and slow down without locking them up.
Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin are in. Green flag pit stops at lap 218.
Yeah, Joe Gibbs Toyota drivers, David Reagan included in that 18 car, Matt.
And the 18 of Reagan, he said his car was snappy loose earlier, but the car's been good this past run, no changes. Meanwhile, his teammate Denny Hamlin still trying to work on the balance of his Toyota. Chris.
And Kyle Larson hitting pit lane. He's been saying that the car is pretty loose, but they've been telling him, hey, you are one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now. So he said, well, let's not make too many adjustments. Matt.
And we've documented Jeff Gordon's battle with this 24 machine all night tonight. He's been trying to move around different lanes. Now, he did pick a line off of turn 2 that did help his exit, but he said that his drive off is absolutely terrible with this 24, this last run. Meanwhile, the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Rodney Childers told him that he knows the adjustment he needs to make this time to get the balance where Harvick needs it. Air pressure change for Harvick on the 4. Jamie?
And Jimmy Johnson making his way down pit road. He's now led the most laps tonight, 76 laps. He's saying the car's getting just a little bit loose. It has been good tonight. That's been his only complaint, though. They've been able to adjust, and it's good for the first run. You see, they actually made a chassis adjustment there and 4 tires. Chris?
Dale Jr., one of the fastest cars on the racetrack in the last 25 laps, said let's just make some small adjustments, still a little tight in the center, but he's really working high and low lanes, looking for speed.
Brad Keselowski in and out, and Paul Menard, who led the last lap during this green flag stop sequence, making his stop. Brad Keselowski will be the last of the lead lap cars to pit. Now Kasey Kahne off sequence because he pitted earlier with that loose wheel. Kahne becomes the race leader.
So he needs the same thing that Brad Keselowski had happen earlier. Kasey can go about another 20 to 25 laps on fuel, but right now he's going to be slower than everyone that just came to pit road.
Only about 2 seconds.
Kasey Kahne, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and David Reagan are the first 5. What a beautiful shot of Texas Motor Speedway from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learned making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, official tire of NASCAR. Caution is out.
Yeah, but they're going to hear in a minute. Tires obviously.
Matt Kenseth was on the apron smoking the tires as if he was coming to pit road. Then the caution came out.
Let's see, watch the yellow car. He was running 11th here.
Ooh, no wonder the tires were smoking. When I saw him, I saw this. And I thought, wow, where'd all that smoke come from?
Nice save.
Great save.
Now, just prior to that, Paul Menard made a pit stop. The car would not refire. He got it running, but barely. And with the electronic engine management system, they don't have a backup ignition system to go to. So Menard came to pit road. They lifted the hood, could not restart the car, and they're rolling him into the garage.
Yeah, you got to take it back behind the wall to hook the computer to it, Matt Yoakum.
That's exactly what they're going to do, DW, taking it back behind the wall. He was unsure what the problem was, but when he went to leave his pit box after that last stop, when he went by me, you could hear the engine was sick.
Yeah, it looked like a fuel almost running out the tailpipes when he tried to leave.
Now, Jimmy Johnson had taken the lead from Kasey Kahne. Remember, Kahne was about half a pit stop off sequence from the rest of the leaders. So Johnson on 20-lap fresher tires makes the easy pass. And in 5 laps with new tires, Johnson went from nearly 4 seconds back to the lead. This caution is a break for Kasey Kahne, puts him right back on the same sequence as the leaders.
Exactly what the doctor ordered for Kasey Kahne.
And the same thing that happened with Brad Keselowski. Exactly.
Jamie?
7th pit stop of the night for these drivers. Jimmy Johnson saying the car took off really good that last run. He thinks it's going to be really good at the end, and that's danger for the rest of the crew. Chris?
And Dale Jr. saying his car, the balance is really good. Doesn't want any adjustments on the stop. He said, if anything, he just needs to be changing his line. 4 tires. Matt?
Same scenario for the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Remember, these tires after about 10 laps give up over a full second and then about a 10th a lap. So you're going to want to come in and get the fresh tires when you have your chance. No changes for the 4.
Jimmy Johnson handily wins the Advanced Auto Parts race off pit road. Joey Logano comes out slideways there in 6th. And up 15 spots is Jamie McMurray, who took only 2 tires.
Yeah, he was one of the last drivers to pit. He and Matt McCall. They had about 6 to 7 laps on their tires based on last night in the Xfinity Series race. Same tire combination. Not sure about that call right there.
I wouldn't do that.
So there's your Advanced Auto Parts race off pit road. Jimmie Johnson back out front. 105 laps left to race in Texas. Working the 4th caution of the day. Bring Sprint, your Verizon or AT&T wireless bill, and your old phone. They'll cut your rate plan in half at a Sprint retail store or sprint.com/half price during the Sprint Cut Your Bill in Half event. Kevin Harvick, your points leader, with 2 race wins this season, currently running in 4th. He'll start 2nd row outside on the restart behind Jimmie Johnson, Kasey Kahne, and Jamie McMurray.
You know, the other thing this caution did, it put us right there on top of this being a one-stop race to the end here.
Yes, sir.
Just a little over one-stop race.
And you know, Larry, I just noticed the 22 car of Joey Logano, he is slowly working himself into contention. He's been running pretty good. Right now, he's sitting there in 6th place.
Well, let's see where he and the rest of our Coca-Cola Racing family are running with 103 laps to go. Logano in 6th, Hamlin 9th, and Newman 14th at the head of that group. Well, we go from the high-speed endurance race here in Texas to one of the most demanding racetracks. You talk about G-forces and big noise and big crowds. That's Bristol, baby.
Why don't you tell me about it? I don't know a whole lot about Bristol.
Yeah, you've only won the most races there ever and the most in a row.
I love that place. Bristol, baby.
Well, let's hear a little more about it then.
It's the Coliseum of racing. There's bumping, there's banging, and tempers are as short as the track.
It's just going to get ugly.
Well, you can't only look out for yourself, but you better watch out for everyone else. It's the next chapter on the path to become the Sprint Cup champion.
Xfinity Series racing on Saturday, Cup racing on Sunday, and there is Steve Burns and his son Bryson. He tweeted this morning. The paperwork's being done, and he'll be watching the race from home. Everybody happy that Steve is home and watching tonight, and we'll honor him next week during the Food City 500 in support of Steve Burns and Stand Up to Cancer.
But this is such a neat part of our schedule because we had that West Coast swing. And then in my book, I know we've taken a little break to come out to Texas to 1.5 miles, but this kind of represents our short track swing. We were at Martinsville a couple of weeks ago. The next 2 weeks, both short track races, Bristol next Sunday, and then back under the lights on Saturday night at Richmond.
You know why I like that? Paybacks, baby. So, you know, you get that short track. You think we're going to walk out of Bristol without some people being upset with each other? I bet you there'll probably be a few of those confrontations we see every now and then after the race. And then where are we going to go?
Well, they better get them settled at Richmond. I'm not sure you want to settle them at Talladega.
No, well, then all bets are off there. You'll back that up for a while. But that's what I like about the short track swing.
They'll start with their fenders and tempers intact. Today, the NASCAR Race Day Driver Spotlight was Brad Keselowski. Tune in to NASCAR Race Day each week before the race, only on Fox Sports 1. Getting ready to go green. Can Jimmie Johnson be the 10th different spring race winner in Texas?
Fly back in that seat. Give those belts to Doug. Get something to drink. Get ready to go here. 100 laps to go when you take the flag.
Johnson elects the inside opposite Kasey Kahne. Johnson's led 83 laps tonight. Kahne 6.
I'd say this is regrouping time. We'll see some laps run now once we get back up to racing here.
But he was right. Pull those gloves up, tighten those belts up. It's showtime, baby.
Green flag.
It's all on the line.
Boy, Johnson got a good launch off turn 4. Kahne, not so much.
48 cars gotten some great restarts tonight. I've always felt like that restarts were a good indication of how much horsepower you had.
Watch that yellow car. Joey Logano, he had the run on the outside, but then Dale Jr. moved up and thwarted his advance.
Not sure that one car is going to be very happy with those 2 tires that he's on against these 4-tire guys.
Yeah, I mean, most tracks we go to with only 5, 6, 7 laps on your tires, great move. You may even stay out, but not here at Texas.
Don't see that working too good.
They must be hoping for another quick caution to maintain track position.
Yeah, because he's going to get tired of that driver cussing at him. I can tell you that, fussing at him.
6th place battle, Logano and Edwards. They're going to close right up on McMurray, who has faded from 3rd to 5th.
There's Hamlin there all of a sudden showing up in the top 10, running 8th.
Kurt Busch just shot the middle 3 wide, and boy, David Reagan thought about it.
He thought about it, but no, not such a good idea.
Let's show you what Kurt did here.
Right through the middle.
Excuse me, pardon me, coming through.
But go back to what Chad Canals told Jimmy Johnson. There's 100 to go.
Oh yeah, no,
clock is winding down.
It's time to go.
8th place.
You got the best. You know, this is the best we got. Take advantage of it.
Keselowski's Ford, Hamlin's Toyota, and Truex in the Chevrolet.
And this is when, Larry, you kind of say, I don't know. I feel like I'm running the same. You are. Everybody else is running faster.
Truex to the bottom. Takes the bottom shot into the corner and then has to breathe it a bit as Hamlin climbs the hill.
Hamlin went for a ride right there. He did an unintentional slide job.
Josh Wise has taken his number 98 to the garage, where he will join Paul Menard, Ryan Blaney, and J.J. Yelin.
Boy, when you're side by side like that, the way the 78 and the 2 are, the 78 and Martin Truex, he's so vulnerable down there, getting sucked around by the car on the outside. That's what made that win last night by Eric Jones so impressive. When he and Brad Keselowski raced on that last restart side by side for about, I don't know, 10 laps or so, that was impressive what he did last night.
And what's impressive right now is Kurt Busch in that 41. Evidently, they made some changes on that car that he likes. He has taken no prisoners.
Well, here's what he had to say about it.
Whatever that does with what I did with the track car being down, props the right rear up, makes the car feel like a race car. Check for bud.
Jeff Gordon going for 15th. Gordon said in pre-race, not sure we have a car to contend for the win. But as he moves up into the top 15, looks like they're improving on it.
Yeah, well, Jeff Gordon's a guy that can take a car that's not really good enough to contend for the win, and guess what he can do with it? Contend for the win.
How about Matt Kenseth in this 20? He brought the last caution out, and here he's up there battling Ryan Newman in that 31, who had to start at the rear of the field with an engine change. Matt Kenseth battling for 12.
Well, he brought out the caution, Larry, but they must have had a good stop. He restarted 11. Jamie?
They did have a really good stop, but as we've been talking about all night, this 20, he has just been struggling with this car out of the racetrack, saying he's a 10 loose, and right after he spun, he apologized to Jason Ratcliffe and his crew and said, guys, I'm sorry, I just can't do anything, and I'm trying my hardest out here.
Frustrating night. He is 12th. There are 22 cars on the lead lap. Greg Biffle got the free pass on that last caution. 16 cars took the wave around, but none of them were lead lap cars after that was over. So Jimmy Johnson is your race leader. Casey Kane, back on the same pit cycle as everyone else, is now 0.8 of a second back of Johnson in second place. Working the bottom, and he's about to have company because Kevin Harvick is closing right back up. Harvick's led 69 laps today to Jimmy Johnson's 93. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 4th. He's 2 seconds off the lead.
You know, behind him, Mike, Jamie McMurray, Darrell and I really felt like if that 2-tire stop was not going to work out. Now, he just lost the 5th spot to Joey Logano on the 22. But I will say McMurray is maintaining. Lost some spots quickly after the restart, but certainly maintaining right now.
And then that's one of those things that only the crew chief knows if the car's good enough to do that or not. In our view, we wouldn't want to take that chance, but they're willing to take that chance. It might pay off.
The leading Toyota in the race is Carl Edwards in 7th. Right behind him is his teammate Denny Hamlin in 8th, who overcame an early penalty. Brad Keselowski in 9th. The Penske Fords both in the top 10. And Martin Truex Jr. Chevrolet rounds out the top 10.
Yep, Martin just trying to get him another top 10 tonight, and he's right there on 10th.
Yeah, our 3 drivers that have top 10 finishes every race so far, both in the top 10, Harvick, Logano, and Truex.
But look at this 41 car. I mean, he was falling back through the field. That caution really worked for him. They made a bunch of changes to the car. He worked on his track bar pretty good now. Matt.
DW's back down running the bottom. On lap 234, he was in 17. Lap 240, he climbed all the way to 11. But then 2 laps later, he told Tony Gibson, it's starting to do it again. It's starting to go away. The balance is moving back to the tight side.
Second place, Kevin Harvick to the inside of Casey Kane. And motors on past.
Yes, sir. Well, Kane's running that high line, which was where Harvick had been making a lot of time. But when you got fairly new tires on, you can run the bottom a little bit and make pretty good time. But sooner or later, you probably slide back up to the top.
Yeah, we have 88 laps to go, and a lot can happen and change in 88 laps. But if you're going to win this race, you better be figuring out how you're going to beat Jimmy Johnson or Kevin Harvick.
Oh, yeah.
Side by side for 8th, Brad Keselowski's Ford, Denny Hamlin's Toyota. As Cole Witt completes a pit stop, he's now 5 laps back, 36th, back on track. Only 4 cars out of the race with 87 laps to go. There's Witt down on the apron, coming back up to speed. As Hamlin and Keselowski fight it out, 7 seconds behind the leader. And at third place, teammates Casey Kane, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Junior was up under a Casey Kane at 5, and he was push. Thing kind of bent and snapped loose with him, but he's going right back after him. It doesn't bother him that much. I watched Junior last night. He had a car snapping around like that last night, but he stayed in the gas.
It's a great thing about this racetrack. You try the high side. If that doesn't work, well, let's try the low side. If that doesn't work, all right, let's run the middle.
That's
You've
right.
got lots of choices of where to go to try to make that pass.
And as Tony Stewart put it, when you catch somebody, you have to go where they're not running.
Right. Caution is out for the 5th time tonight at lap 250, and that's Michael Annett with a lot of damage to the right front.
South Martinsville is bad.
Oh. 2 races in a row.
Well, Darrell, with that caution, the 2-tire strategy worked out for
paid
Matt
off,
McCall and Jamie McMurray.
Isn't that something?
A.J. Allmendinger will get the free pass. There's heavy damage to the right side of Annett's car.
Killed that thing.
He was 31st when this happened.
You can see the car just takes off. It's got a tire. It looked like a tire may have gone down on that car the way it shot up the hill.
Harry Scott Racing adding this 2nd team for 2015, teammate to Justin Allgaier. And that's a lot of damage to fix on pit road.
It really is. And it's funny, we use terms like that, shot up the hill. He went up the banking. But this kind of things you say amongst the racers, oh, he just shot up the hill. Well, obviously, it's just up the bank.
They may need to go to the bank to get that fixed.
He will.
Yeah.
Like a small loan.
84 laps to go. What are you thinking, Larry?
I think I'm coming to pit road and get me 4 Goodyear tires. I know that's what Jamie McMurray and Matt McCall's thinking.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Still, even after this stop, we still will have to make at least one more trip to pit road.
And we're not in any danger of running out of tires, are we?
No, they had 12 sets for the race, Darrell, so we're in pretty good shape with those green flag runs.
So this is the 5th caution flag in the Duck Commander 500. And let's go to the head end of pit road and Jamie.
And Jimmy Johnson said the car's not bad, but it just didn't feel like he could really pull away like he wants to, and it's not turning as well in 1 and 2 as it is in 3 and 4. So 4-tire stop here. Meanwhile, Casey Kane just a little bit tight like he's been, but the car overall pretty good, Chris.
And Dale Jr. lost 5 spots on that last stop. He's made most of that back up. Right now he's saying the nose of the car a little bit lazy on turn-in, but the team talking about what do we need to do for takeoff speed for late race restarts. Matt?
Kevin Harvick said the car starts out a little bit on the tight side, then comes in, but he's lost that advantage to Johnson. No changes on the 4. They wanted to try to get the stop done as quick as possible for track position.
Look at this cluster coming off pit road. Joey Logano couldn't get up into the outside lane. Neither could Matt Kenseth, nor several others. They were 3 wide for a bit there.
A couple of big winners there. Martin Truex Jr., Kurt Busch, both gaining 3 spots apiece.
Under caution with 83 laps to go.
10 laps to go at the Great American Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on Fox, live here on Saturday night with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers, and Jimmie Johnson leading Kevin Harvick. We've talked about the 1-2 finishes. Harvick finished second to Johnson the last race here. Harvick also was second to Jimmie in Atlanta earlier this year. Similar racetrack when Jimmie won that one.
That's exactly right. And those two cars have proven to be the best in the field. But I like the way Junior keeps creeping up on them. And the boys up in the booth talked about Joey Logano. Solid car for Logano. He's now cracked the top 3. Be interesting to see as the race winds down. Can Logano and Junior put any pressure on Harvick and Johnson?
And the pit road stops critical throughout a long race like this, and they will be toward the end.
Yeah, you've got to get that critical last pit stop made without any penalties. And our rules official, Andy Petrie, has seen several things go down today. Andy, when the pressure gets on, what do these guys got to look for on pit road?
Well, tonight, Michael, the one rule that has kind of surfaced that they've broken is that driving through too many pit stalls on exit. We saw that get the 11 car Denny Hamlin. This time we saw it get Trevor Bayne. But looking ahead, I'm thinking about the one thing that's not a rule this year. It's those loose lug nuts that have plagued some of these top running cars. And that last pit stop, everybody's going to be pushing it. There may be some loose lug nuts at the end of this thing.
A look at the officiating trailer.
I like those guys. They're right there on the game. That's why we've seen so many uncontrolled tires, because they've got an eye on every pit stop. Every pit stop is under review, and that's why we've seen more penalties.
Yeah, and 5 pit road penalties again tonight, and already in this, the 7th race of the season, already more than all of last year combined. Let's head back upstairs to Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy.
One of the things I really like that they started tonight here at this race is real time from when the penalty is called. The team now has that information in the pit box that they can look at immediately, not waiting to be told there's a penalty.
Yes, NASCAR has wired the whole pit road with fiber optic cable,
yes,
so that when those stops are called, then that video can be transmitted to the teams and they can review and see what NASCAR saw. So let's set the field for you with 80 laps to go. Jimmie Johnson and Kevin Harvick on the front row. Joey Logano's Ford, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Chevrolet, Kasey Kahne's Chevy, Carl Edwards Toyota, Martin Truex, Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, Jamie McMurray are the top 10. A.J. Allmendinger got the wave around, so we have 23 lead lap cars. We got the free pass, rather. We're back under green. Boy, Johnson just unbeatable on these restarts.
Boy, he's nailed every one of them, Mike. I mean, he has been able to clear the guy on the outside of him, take off, and holy cow, that thing is fast.
I tell you who I believe is at their best right now, though, is Joey Logano on that 22 car. This is the best he has been in my book all weekend long.
But Kevin Harvick takes it to Logano on the outside, beating Logano back to the gas and powering into second.
Yeah, he really got down on Logano's right side over there, and I think it might even made Joey just a skosh loose. He had to get out of the gas, and Harvick shot by.
Kurt Busch continues to work the outside in the middle of the corner. He is 8th, otherwise we're single file as Busch battles Carl Edwards for 7th.
But he was out of this race not that long ago. He was about to go a lap down. They even short pitted that 41 car, and now he's worked his way back inside the top 10.
Yeah, which was surprising, as good as that car was, and all of a sudden started falling back through the field. Remember, this car almost, the 41 car almost won our race in California. Hadn't it been for a caution at the end, I think he had that one won.
Denny Hamlin's in the 11, Ryan Newman the 31, and Jeff Gordon is back up in the top 15, just hanging there in 14th, going for 13th, but moving in the right direction.
Yeah, don't ever count Gordon out. I don't think he's got a car that can win tonight, but don't count him out, because he's just that kind of guy. He's, you know, 4-time champion, 92 wins. He'll figure out a way.
Did a nice job last night as guest analyst for our Fox Sports 1 coverage of the Xfinity race with Adam Alexander and Michael Waltrip. He even had some nice things to say about Brad Keselowski, and the two of them were going at it after last fall's race here.
Yeah, that was last fall.
That's over.
That was in 2014.
I agree.
Sake.
Oh, in the wall goes Justin Allgaier.
Wow, the left front tire looks flat on that car.
And we're back under caution at lap 260, so just 10 laps between caution flags as the Gator bites the wall pretty hard with the right side.
Sunk his ship.
You know, that looks just like the damage to his teammate Michael Annette's car.
Yeah, Very similar. And I know that I saw the left front tire looked like it was pretty soft. I'm not sure if the wreck caused that or not, but no, see there, he just takes off exactly like his teammate did.
Allgaier was running 26th. Here's a look from the Goodyear blimp.
Bam. Yeah. Just definitely a tire. It's the worst feeling in the world, man, when you're going down into the turn and all of a sudden that thing just goes straight right. There's nothing you can do.
Daryl, Mike, we saw what Matt McCall and Jamie McMurray did earlier with 6 or 7 laps on their tires. We could have a little bit of an interesting situation here because they've only run about 4 laps. The pits are closed, so I think this gives those team engineers and crew chiefs a little more time to think about it. Do we really want to come back to pit road and get 4 fresh tires right here?
Kasey Kahne's bunch here trying to clean up the oil from that 51 car right through their pit box.
Jamie?
Yes, and Chad Knaus not very happy right now about all of that. Justin Allgaier's car had actually stopped and sat. He just told his team, you see him there watching the cleanup happen, told his team clean everything up. There's some oil down here, all over here, and there's debris that came off the car as well.
Yeah, that opening to get to the garage is right between Kasey Kahne and Jimmie Johnson's pits. And you see a lot of cleaner being applied there, but that is sticky and gooey and pretty thick.
Yeah, I think I tried to get me some of that stuff they put out on the racetrack to soak that up, and then there you go. Now you're cooking.
A little speedy dry there. Okay, a lot of speedy dry.
Yeah, no kidding. Might have to repave that area.
Well, we'll take a second to clean up.
Hey again, NASCAR fans. Ready, set, go see Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, wait, it comes out Friday. Go on Friday. Go see it on Friday. In the meantime, stick around for more NASCAR right here on Fox. Beep, beep.
Thanks to Kevin James for being part of the action tonight. Be sure to check out Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 on Friday. 72 laps to go. Now, pit road has not opened. They brought the speedy dry truck down there onto pit road, dropping a bunch of it and sweeping it up with a lot of help from the crews. So what will you do? That has been the discussion. The radios have been a crackling. We listened into Kevin Harvick's.
What do you think here? On the lead lap? A bunch. Oh. I mean, based upon those sheets I was looking at the other day, I think we need to stay out. You just make the best decision you can off the things you hear.
23 cars on the lead lap. Sam Hornish will get the free pass. So that's a lot of cars, Larry.
And I think that's the key. That's the reason they asked that question right there. How many drivers on the lead lap? But Daryl and I were talking during commercial break. We feel like with only 4 laps on your tires, we're probably going to see most of the top 10 stay out. But somewhere there's going to be a cutoff. I tend to believe it's going to be somewhere back about Brad Keselowski, Jamie McMurray, Matt Kenseth, 9th, 10th, 11th. But once you see someone peel off in front of you, you almost have to come with them.
Ain't going to be him. I can tell you, he looked like he was taking a nap. That was Tony Gibson.
And if anything, Larry, that strategy benefits Jimmie Johnson and Kasey Kahne, where that oil down is on pit road, because they're both up in the top 5 and unlikely to pit in this situation.
And this situation's given them a long time to think about it and continue to think about it.
That's really dangerous, too.
They're going to take one more pass down pit road for cleanup, so caution stays out. Now, Monday on NASCAR Race Hub, they'll recap everything that went on here in Texas, including Winners Weekend, as tonight's Sprint Cup race winner will take you through their weekend from practice all the way to the checkered flag. NASCAR Race Hub Monday and every weeknight at 6 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
And Mike, you have to watch it every Tuesday night. It's what we call radioactive. It's where we have radio transmission throughout the race. It's entertaining, it's funny, it's interesting.
Let me guess. Larry Mack's on every Tuesday night.
I'm actually on Monday night.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually on Monday night. But the radioactive section it's really hilarious.
No,
I agree.
I watch that show just about every night, and yeah, he's right. It's a fun part of the show.
And that's the way you keep up with your NASCAR every day. Well, hello. Is that a jackalope?
That's it. No, it's just jack.
Did you ever get those postcards from Texas?
Hey.
With the jackalopes?
Oh, yeah, I've seen them. But what about that hole he just went in?
Well,
that's pretty cool.
It's a little hidey hole. That was not the debris that brought out a caution, by the way.
No, but he knew
all right,
where he
3
was
things
going.
you need to know about the last 10 500-mile NASCAR races. 40% of the cautions happened in the last 100 miles.
God.
Where we are right now. The leader with 100 miles to go was the winner in 4 of those 10 races. And Jimmie Johnson in 4 of the last 5 was the leader with 100 miles to go, but only won 1 of the last 3.
I think I'd add one more in there too. Last year, both races finished with a green-white checker.
So, folks, a jackalope is one of those little jackrabbits on which somebody, long before Photoshop was invented, put antelope horns. And they're native only to Texas. They're hard to hunt. Well, they're hard to find. You get the idea.
I was working with you there, Mike. I was working.
I think I saw one in the Cracker Barrel.
I'll be watching NASCAR Race Hub on Monday. Absolutely. Here's some team audio from Kurt Busch and company.
Yeah, like I said, I think we got to at least make sure we got it set for the final 20 there. We'll just have to pay attention behind us there, Corelli. You're P8 right here, so just pay attention behind us. If they come, we're going to have to come.
Now he's in 8th place, so if anybody ahead of him pits, they'll pit, and if not, maybe not.
But that's what he was telling the spotter, Rick Corelli. Watch what you feel like some of the drivers behind Kurt's going to be doing. The last thing you want to be is the last driver not to pit.
Yeah, but you know what? And the NASCAR doesn't allow you to lag back and get a gap there to see what everybody's going to do. You've got to stay closed up. Nobody.
Everybody? Almost everybody.
Oh, my gosh.
That's it.
Whoa.
Jamie.
Oh, a little switcheroo there by Brad Keselowski. The 48 of Jimmie Johnson said the car was much better to drive that time. They put it back like 2 runs ago and took a big swing at it. Just 4 tires stop here, Chris.
On that last stop, they added a little air pressure to the 88 car. Dale Jr. saying he did not like that, so they're taking it out on this stop. Matt?
Kevin Harvick hit pit road because the 48 of Johnson did. He slid in his box deep, but he did not go over the line, just 4 tires.
Now, the drivers that pitted, what I did notice, I think, Matt McCall, Jamie McMurray in that one, they went with 2 right side tires again.
I think we may have a problem, Houston.
Yeah, and
Or
that
Dallas.
would be the dreaded commitment cone violation.
And actually,
you cannot violate the rights of the commitment cone like that.
I think it was indecisive on his part whether he was coming or not coming. Of course, you see the 41 of Kurt Busch over there. He couldn't get inside the cone. I think he was maybe trying to get back out and hit it.
But we did have 8 drivers that stayed out. Logano, Kane, Truex, Keselowski, Kenseth, Hamlin, David Reagan, and Tony Stewart all stayed out.
No damage to the orange cone. 40,000
But it's
of
supposed
his
to be right
relatives.
there and not all the way back there.
There's
relocated.
About 40,000 of those out waiting for you to drive away from the racetrack tonight.
Sorry, I didn't see it. But sorry about that. I couldn't see it quick enough. All right, guys. Sorry about that, Paul. We just need to do a good one and stay in front of the black cars.
So now Keselowski comes in for tires. So this is 2 races in a row where a champion and major contender comes a foul on the final pit stop. It was Jeff Gordon speeding in the segment before his pit at Martinsville 2 weeks ago. Brad Keselowski tonight running over the orange cone. Commitment cone violations to our Fox NASCAR rules analyst Andy Petrie.
Yeah, the rule is on that commitment cone is if you're coming on pit road, you have to have all 4 tires below that commitment cone, and then you have to make pit road. You can't go back out on the track and change your mind. And that's what it's all about, is try to keep everybody from running into each other at the end of pit road. If he would have been just to the right side of that, it'd been safe, but obviously hitting it is a penalty.
I really think he was right on the 41 and he dove over to the right, and there was the cone.
Ricky Stenhouse's pit crew over the wall too soon. That'll be a penalty for Stenhouse, who is 1 lap down. In fact, he's the only car 1 lap down. Clint Bowyer 30th. He is 2 laps down. Now, a number of these cars have taken waiver rounds on prior cautions to get laps back. And here's Keselowski.
Yeah, the last time we were inside his car, thought he may have been shutting that car off.
I thought he was.
They are notorious for trying to stretch the fuel.
I thought he was too, Larry.
Now he'll drop to the back and restart 23rd, just ahead of Sam Hornish, who is the free pass car on this caution.
Danica running 12th. Good shape right now. Good for her. Started 19th.
Coming off a good run at Martinsville.
Yep.
You know, we've had the Easter break, and in a lot of other sports, in baseball, they talk about the All-Star break. In the NFL, about how a team does after a bye week. Over the last 2 decades, the team that has the most wins coming off the traditional Easter break is Team Penske. 5 victories in the last 20 years coming off Easter vacation.
I think that guy right there, I don't think he wants to. I think he wants to be at the track every day. I've never seen a guy so anxious for practice to start, qualifying, and the race. After winning a Daytona 500, he has been pumped up. He's still living off the adrenaline from that.
66 laps to go.
Got some interesting guys up there. Truex running 3rd now, and Hamlin's up to 5th. Reagan's back up to 6th.
3 of the Joe Gibbs Toyota drivers all stayed out, and they are all in the top 6 right now.
Tony Stewart 8th. Newman up there in 9th.
7 drivers at the front of the field, all the way back to Stewart, did not pit under this caution. Green flag.
This should be very interesting. I think somebody asked earlier how many laps had Joey Logano led tonight.
4 would be the answer.
It looks like Tony Stewart, that black car in the middle, did not pit, and he was really jamming those drivers up coming off turn 2. Couldn't get out of the way quick enough.
That's where the gap is back to Stewart. And all those cars behind him with fresh tires now.
Stay dry dust there from the accident.
Yeah, Ryan Newman and the 31, his crew chief Luke Lambert, they elected a lot like Jamie McMurray to go with just 2 right side tires. But you see Kevin Harvick in that 4 on those 4 fresh tires, he is picking them up and laying them down right now.
He's cutting through there like a knife through butter right now. He's going somewhere.
Yeah, he and Jamie McMurray are the first 2 cars in the running order with fresh tires. McMurray 5th, Harvick 6th.
And Johnson back there, they seem to be getting away from him. Johnson's still right here behind Matt Kenseth, and doesn't seem to be quite as quick as he has been earlier.
No, his lap time, last lap, Darrell, half a second slower than McMurray and Harvick.
Tell you, there's a little piece of debris on his grill too. I don't think that's a problem yet, but I did notice that.
Kyle Larson in that 42 car, he has 4 fresh tires. There is that debris on Jimmy Johnson's grill.
And that's right. That's kind of right in the heart of things too. That could cause him an issue here if he didn't get that off pretty soon.
You know, talking about lap times, guys, 4 of our top 5, which are drivers that stayed out or either changed right side tires, they just turned their fastest lap of this race.
That's what I love about these 500-mile night races. The track just keeps getting faster and faster. In fact, and you say, man, I'm going as hard as I can go. I'm give out here. Give me a break.
This 500-mile race, an extra 100 miles here. Let's get 3 things you need to know about these last 100 miles. Chris?
Well, Mike, Dale Jr. started 24th. He quickly ran up to just outside the top 10, and then we had that first caution. On that first pit stop, he had a loose wheel, had to come back in, make an additional stop, lost a lot of track position all night long. He ran that car back to the front. Well, he lost a lot of track position on this last stop. Once again, Dale Jr. being the cheerleader, telling these guys, hey, as long as we can get a long run here, I can get it back to the front. Jamie?
Martin Truex doing more of what he's been doing all season long. He's one of 3 drivers who finish in the top 10 in every race this season. They've worked on it, and this is the best the car has been all night. Started 15th, running 3rd. The only complaint is that he's just been loose, and that is what they've been adjusting for. He stayed out in that last round of stops, Matt.
After a rough start to the season for Jeff Gordon, he's reeled off 3 straight top 10 finishes. He currently runs in the 15th position. Only once in his career he's won the 7th race of the year at this season's first win, and that was right here at Texas 6 years ago. Right now, though, Gordon says the car is still plowing. He thinks there's something amiss with the brakes, which is what's been his hindrance for much of the last 2 or 3 runs.
Here's Jamie McMurray catching Denny Hamlin for 5th place. Remember, McMurray has new tires, Hamlin does not.
And remember, Jeff Gordon complained a little bit like the car was binding up, like it was bogging down, which would make you think maybe there was some sort of brake issue with the car.
And he seemed, every time we talked to him this weekend, Darrell, he seemed perplexed. He said, we're just not quite there.
Yeah, I have seen something in the front end geometry that would actually, when you turn the wheels, would bog the car down. Could be something like that.
Kasey Kahne has fallen 1 second behind Joey Logano, and that margin is growing slightly. Now back at 6th place, here comes Jimmie Johnson on fresh Goodyears, trying to take advantage of Hamlin.
Whoa, he almost got taken advantage of because Hamlin didn't give him the room, and here comes is that Carl?
Yeah.
Carl went shooting by.
When you lose your momentum.
Hey, Carl says, well, you 2 knuckleheads are fooling around. I think I'm just going to go on by.
And here comes Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, and in that exchange, Jimmie Johnson in the 48 lost 1.5 seconds to our leader. Now we're getting to the point where we talk about the trends of the race. In the last 10 spring races here, which was NASCAR and Fox, the last caution average lap 282, which is 52 laps to go, which is exactly where we're at, but 5 times in the final 25 laps. So I don't think we're completely finished with cautions if you look at the trends.
Joey Logano has stayed out, did not pit on that caution, nor did Kahne. And here are the Gibbs cars all in the top 10. Carl Edwards, the leading Toyota in the race.
Mike, you know when you want to be your best?
Now?
Right now.
Right. What do we say? The night time is the right time.
You've adjusted, you've turned, you've tweaked, you've air pressured up, air pressured down. Now's when you want to go somewhere.
But now how about Joey Logano and Kasey Kahne, who did not pit, staying out in front of the Hungry Hounds who did?
Yeah, well, I think they had good enough race cars, and there was enough drivers that stayed out that they made it work with only 4 laps on the tires.
They got a gap there where they didn't have to race anybody, and so that really helped them.
Whoa. Kevin Harvick went by Kasey Kahne like he was stopped.
Oh, companies are coming up there near the front, and it's a red number 4.
And look at that number drop. That's the interval to Joey Logano.
I think the surprising thing to me, I mean, not that Harvick is up here going to take the lead pretty quick, but what the heck happened to 48?
Well, he's not recovered from getting bottled up over there off turn 2 earlier. Talking about Jimmie Johnson.
I felt like he just blew through here just like what we've seen Kevin Harvick do, but he's going nowhere.
11th place, Kyle Larson, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Harvick keeps eating into Logano's lead, not on the straightaways, but the cornering speed is more than 10 miles an hour quicker.
Well, remember when we were looking at the corner speeds with new tires versus old, and it was 14 miles an hour different?
Yes.
14 miles an hour, that's huge.
Dale Earnhardt had had enough of Kyle Larson. Gave him a little thump and goes on by. Jimmie Johnson did move past Denny Hamlin.
Not for
7th place, but again, on the straightaway, not much difference, new tires to old.
Yeah, this 48 just...
In the corner, different story.
But he just continues to lose more time. And I'm mainly looking at the time that he's behind Kevin Harvick in this 4 car.
When Harvick gets up on that high line and he comes off turn 2 back there, He has got some speed down that back straightaway. That's where he's been making some great moves. That's just, let me tell you, that 4 car is just one awesome race car. That thing handles it, drives, it's got power under the hood, and they got a guy behind the wheel that knows what to do with it.
And all they lacked last year from having this kind of record at this point in the season was reliability and experience working together. Now it's all come together.
And we know that string of consecutive top 2s ended at Martinsville, but where that streak started, right here back in the fall.
Still inside.
Have a hell of a save. Clear, clear, clear. Watch that 40.
Have a big run in your mirror. 2 back, closing quick.
Out of line, looking to the inside. He's there.
Clear. All clear. Nice job.
Bumper clear. Still out there.
That's what drivers are talking about with 44 laps to go in Texas. Can Kevin Harvick win his first ever Texas race and his 3rd of this year? Or will Joey Logano in his Ford win his 2nd race of this season? Casey Kane trying to get into the W column as well, along with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers, and Kevin Harvick, who started on the front row with his teammate Kurt Busch and led early. Jimmy Johnson has led the most laps, 114, but he's fighting off at the moment Logano. Now, we saw 2 weeks ago, we saw Keselowski run hard, but with respect against Denny Hamlin. Logano and Harvick, their history running against each other, not very friendly.
Yeah, and you know the thing that's interesting right now, Chris, Jimmy Johnson, while he did not get a good restart, he struggled getting through traffic the last few laps. He's been the fastest car on the racetrack. So I think they're going to hear more from Johnson, but just think those late restarts are so important. These guys get a fresh set of tires, maybe gamble, get some track position, and then you saw what Brad Keselowski did here last fall by going for the win late, ruffled a lot of feathers. That's the kind of action you get here at Texas late.
And we were listening to Larry McReynolds and the data here, even with 42 laps to go and cautions. And of course, if you go back to last year, in the last 45 laps, there were a number of cautions that changed things, rearranged things. What do you anticipate for these final 42?
Well, this car is on cruise control. Kevin Harvick's got this baby in the back if we don't see those late cautions. But historically, we do see those. And then that's when strategy, track position, and some gambling on pit road could come into play.
And Mike Joy, you know, you dubbed him the closer, but he's also, when he's out in front, he's a pretty good finisher. Kevin Harvick with the lead at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of only 5 racetracks where Harvick has not won. As we watch Jeff Gordon trying to claw his way up toward the top 10.
I think that 20 car, he's been in the wall, Mike. I think when he went by last time, looked like the right side was tires were all scraped up and the body's all scraped up.
And
I believe
caution
he got
waves.
in the wall right up here.
Debris in turns 3 and 4. With 40 laps to go.
Matt has just had his hands full with that 20 car and I spun it out. Now he's gotten in a wall. He's had a rough night.
And what's interesting about that caution, I almost feel like it's an advantage for those guys that stayed out the last time, because they were within about 8 to 10, 12 laps of having to come to pit road, most notably Joey Logano.
Yeah, Joey Logano, Casey Kane, Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin, David Reagan, Matt Kenseth, and Tony Stewart were the drivers who stayed out on the prior caution.
Yeah, that's pretty much a no-brainer right here. I mean, you got 40 to go, 39. You're going to come in. You're going to go. Hopefully, you put tires on. You go to the end. But I think I'd plan on another caution or 2.
Yeah, whether you stayed out or pitted the last time, 4 tires. It's been 25 laps since we went back racing.
Sure, it's a no-brainer.
Here's a disturbing trend. In NASCAR's last 10 Sprint Cup Series 500-mile races, how many times did we not have a green, white checker finish in those 10 races? Once.
Well, once we get to this with 39 laps to go, and you bunch this field up, I don't care if you're leading the race or you're running 20th. You're going to go for. You're going to gamble. You're going to do everything you can, get every spot you can. That's when we have trouble.
And with the win you're in format to make the chase for the Sprint Cup, the fellows who can gamble with nothing to lose are those who've already been to victory.
Well, it's kind of it's actually 2 ways. If you've already got a win, you got nothing to lose. If you don't have a win, you want to try to gamble to get a win.
Yeah, you got everything to gain.
You got everything to gain.
Jamie?
And Kasey Kahne wants to come down and pit. His car has been pretty good the last couple of runs. Not a lot of complaints. And the same goes for the 19 of Carl Edwards. He's having one of the best runs he has had all year long. They just have to close it out now. 4-tire stop for Kasey Kahne in the 5 and Carl Edwards. 4 tires and they'll fill him up, Matt.
Harvick looking at the short run and long run. A few laps after that restart, he said the car was a little bit free. And then right before the stop, he says, you've got to make a big air pressure change. The car is really, really loose. Meanwhile, Logano, the best friend he had was the clean air. His car was a little stuck in the center and a tick free on exit, but it wasn't bad at all.
Near collision between Jimmie Johnson and Denny Hamlin as Hamlin was exiting, trying to get up and into the second lane. That was close.
That whole sequence was near collisions. I'm telling you, they were all over each other coming out of there. Nice job of this 4 bunch, man. They got a quick stop, got him out in the lead.
Well, they know that could be the money stop right there.
Right.
We have seen that.
Ricky Stenhouse gets the free pass. So when we restart, we'll have 24 cars on the lead lap to settle it in these last 38 laps. Again, 500-mile races. The overwhelming tendency is to have a green-white checker finish. Of course, that's only going to happen should there be a caution coming out right near the end of the race. So,
well, I know I mentioned it, but both races here last year finished with green-white checkers, and it's just kind of that. When you have these late cautions, what do we always say? Cautions breed cautions, and so we're getting ready to breed some cautions.
So, Larry, you're ready to run for the checker, but you're prepared if not.
Well, you have to be, because as we've seen all night long, if we just go a handful of laps and that caution comes back out, you're going to have to come back to pit road. But, Mike, you said it earlier, win and you're in. And I look at some drivers that's up there, they need a win. Kasey Kahne, Carl Edwards, Jamie McMurray, how bad those drivers really want to go to victory lane.
And all you've done tonight up to this point is to prepare for these last 40 laps.
Yeah, that's part of the strategy. That's what that crew chief's been doing down there. They know, they follow the trends. He knows this. They follow the trends. They know these cautions are coming. They got to be prepared for them. And you got to know what you're going to do. You're going to take 4, you're going to stay out. They know before they ever drop the yellow flag what they're going to do.
37 laps to go. And boy, we got a diverse bag of racetracks for you coming up on our Fox NASCAR coverage the next 3 weeks. Bristol, Tennessee, the world's fastest half mile next Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Then to the 3/4 mile with a moderate bank, Richmond International Raceway under the lights Saturday, April 25th. And then Talladega, the fastest speedway on earth. 1 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday, May 3rd. All those races on Fox.
That's getting better than that, though. Bristol, the last great Coliseum. And then everybody loves Richmond, a 3/4 mile. And then we go to Talladega where we have pack racing. I mean, this is as cool as it gets.
And a new qualifying procedure at Talladega. Will be back to a modification of single car qualifying so that one car's actions will not affect another car's speed.
And I think that's, I like that idea. And I always said, when we go to Daytona and Talladega, if they would send a car every time the car goes by and not wait and send the car out all by itself, we could cut it in half, and that's what they're going to do.
What a beautiful sight. Texas Motor Speedway with a big crowd on hand this evening for the Duck Commander 500. Our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, official tire of NASCAR. The Goodyear blimp with our aerial coverage tonight. Now Jimmie Johnson will restart 6th. Here's crew chief Chad Knaus.
The only car that's got anything for us out there, bud, is the 4. All we got to do is get in 2nd and hope for a caution. We'll be all right.
Yeah, I think he's thinking about that caution. He says, you know what? My pit crew, I believe, can beat that 4 crew, but they'll have their work cut out for them, too.
I think that's a cool cat right there on the left. Old Rodney Childers. Look at him. Sitting on a hot stove right now. But he knows what to do.
Well, he made the call there at the end of that Homestead Miami race there that won them the race and the championship, the last race of the year last year.
Roger that.
Ready for green. It'll be 35 laps to go, and Harvick gets a car length jump on Logano as they head for turn 1. Here comes Hamlin squeezing through the middle with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmie Johnson gets the run on the outside.
Yeah, Jimmie Johnson in that 48, he knows he better go, or that little red and white car, or that dot will get smaller and smaller up there of Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, because he struggled on that last restart and really went nowhere. So he's got to make some hay while the sun shines right here. I know Chad Knapp's pretty good about making the right adjustments for these little short runs too. Ooh, the 22 car just got in trouble off turn 2 over there. Had to get out of the gas, broke his momentum. He's trying to fight back.
And Carl Edwards in at 19 is going to take advantage of it. Casey Kane in the 5 is trying as well.
Yeah, the 22 came off of turn 2. I've seen it a number of times. There's a slick spot over there. Lost a little grip. Allowed the 19 of Carl Edwards to get up there and racing.
Now, Darrell, in our mid-race report, you took Carl Edwards. What did you see?
Well, I just feel like he's due. I just know how good Darian Grove is. I know how good Carl is. The only thing that really worries me is if the Toyotas had the speed to compete with these other 3 or 4 guys that have been good tonight. But I know Carl can do it as a driver, and I know Darian can do it as a crew chief.
Chevy, Ford, Chevy, Toyota at the front of the field with 32 to go, as now Johnson moves up to 4th.
Yeah, Jimmie Johnson in that 48, he is working the top side of the racetrack at both ends right now. Sitting back there in the 3rd spot behind Joey Logano in the 22.
And see, Larry, that was something that he didn't do earlier. He was a bottom feeder. I mean, he'd been hanging on that bottom all night. But the last couple of runs here, he started running up high and making good time.
Martin Truex got a little work to do if he's going to continue that string of top 10 finishes. He's 3 spots back in 13th, battling Kurt Busch, who may have brushed the wall. A little tire smoke from Kurt a bit ago.
Well, Martin and Cole Pearn have been really good about having the car the best it's been all night at the end of these races, but she's not looking real sporty right now.
2nd place, Logano and Johnson.
Yeah, Mike, he's going to have to get by Logano here pretty quick, but even running behind Logano, he's been a couple of tenths quicker than Kevin Harvick in that 4.
He's getting a little draft. He's drafting off that 22 a little bit. Doesn't make a lot of difference, but it might help a tenth.
Every little bit counts.
That's right, when you're trying to catch somebody way out there in front of you.
Last lap by, Johnson was quicker by about a tenth and a half.
And that's really been the case about the last 3 or 4 laps.
Just seems like he can get up to Logano, but he's going to have to get a nice run off the corner over there, maybe off turn 2, to get a move on him going into 3. But right now, Logano doing a great job of holding Jimmie Johnson off.
All the drivers in the top 5 have won here at Texas, except race leader Kevin Harvick.
That time by, Larry, the Kevin Harvick car ran a 29.70, and the Logano car ran a 29.92. Johnson a 30.03. So I think Kevin right now is managing that gap between him and the 2nd place car.
If anything, it's increasing, Darrell, 1.44, and you see the dynamic interval at the top of the screen. A little more than a second and a half. 27 laps to go. Does anyone have anything for Kevin Harvick, who leads Joey Logano by 1.5 seconds?
Family of jeweled feline treasures, 100,000 to the lady in the
Sprint told us they cut our Verizon bill in half.
Oh, yeah.
We save a bunch of money on our rate plan by switching to Sprint.
We don't need to save money, do we, Mama?
Oh, no. No, we do not, baby.
Like Daddy always says, money doesn't spend itself.
1 million.
Oh, look at that.
1.2
Oh,
million.
look at that muscle, baby. It's like a workout.
Some people are stupid rich. For the rest of us, Sprint will cut your Verizon or AT&T rate plan in half. Just turn in your old phone. Or now, for a limited time, sign up for the new Unlimited Plus plan and get a Samsung Galaxy S6 free, only from Sprint.
Today we're going to talk about drag, and it can slow an object down. So in NASCAR, is this good or bad? Layla?
Bad, because when you go slow, you lose. You lose.
Sponsors disappear, no one will talk to you. All of a sudden, your jokes aren't funny?
But when you go fast, you win, and you feel happy. Plus, your parents take you out for ice cream.
You had me down, and you brought me right back up. To the bus, I'm driving, we're getting some ice cream.
NASCAR Acceleration Nation, where kids can play games and learn math and science the NASCAR way. Go to accelerationnation.com to get started today.
Come and play with me. You can meet some of my friends. They're really excited to meet you. Do you want to come and play? Game of War. Play for free now from the App Store.
If they weren't doing this, they wouldn't have done that. But luckily, they did all that. Sprint Cup Racing from Bristol, next Sunday at 12:30 p.m. on Fox.
Caution is out. Pit stops. Jamie.
There's a little back and forth, but Casey Kane's team, Keith Rodden, decided to pit. The 48 Jimmy Johnson tight this time. They freed him up. Wipe the grill, Matt.
Stops came at a great time for Kevin Harvick. He had debris on the grill. The water temperature was climbing. No fuel, no changes for Harvick. The car was a tick free.
We had some roll the dice with just two right side tires. You can see there Jamie McMurray, Jeff Gordon, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr. all going with right side tires. 9 laps on those tires when they came to pit road.
And McMurray, remember, he held his own pretty darn good for a number of laps on 2 tires earlier, so not a bad call. Now,
A.J. Allmendinger brushed the wall up in turn number 3. Debris in turns 3 and 4 are the reason for the caution.
See him up high there.
That's the aftermath of Allmendinger being in the wall. Clint Boyer gets the free pass. He'll get back on the lead lap with 24 to go.
I don't even know if that 47 hit the wall or not. It didn't look like it.
No, but they have some debris to pick up, is the ruling. Now, during the commercial break, you saw on the in-car camera one of the gauges, one of the left gauges right there was blinking red. That's a great system, so the driver doesn't have to constantly watch the gauge reading. That at a predetermined point, it will glow and blink red to alert him of a problem.
Yeah, he had a piece of debris on his grill right there, and they got it off on that pit stop, but that was getting ready to cause him some big issues.
Yeah, so that was a huge gain for them getting that caution.
And I know the guys in front of him only took 2 tires, but I don't think you could hold that 4 car back when he's got 4 tires and you got 2.
Kyle Larson driving through too many pit boxes on the way into his pit, and that's a penalty.
Well, that's going to be huge because we've got about 25 or 26 drivers on the lead lap.
He would have restarted 3rd.
And that has been the most called penalty tonight. 2 weeks ago at Martinsville, it was uncontrolled tires, and now it's driving through pit boxes. And Casey Mears, same penalty for the number 13. Let's go back under green and Kevin Harvick. And you'll see right there.
Yeah.
From his comments, I'm guessing that's water temperature.
Oh, I'd say so, yeah. And with the piece of debris on the grill, no question it was. So, yeah, that's good. Great break for that guy, for those guys.
22 laps to go as they come to the line and line up for the double file restart. 7 cars will take the wave around. None of them will be lead lap cars. Well, Jamie McMurray, Jeff Gordon, and others rolled the dice for track position.
You just think about it. Jeff Gordon has complained about his car all night long. So we know the car's not great, but he does have good track position now. Can he hang up there? Can he stay up there? I kind of doubt it, but he's probably going to get a better finish than he would have if he'd have taken 4 tires. Same way with maybe Truex. He was having trouble getting back up there. So that's a good gamble on those guys' part.
Yeah, I think especially McMurray in the 1 and Truex in the 78, they finally got their cars driving pretty good. We heard Jamie Little talking about Martin Truex Jr. being pretty happy with that 78 car. 4 tires, 8 tires. Holding Kevin Harvick off is going to be tough.
I don't think so either, Larry, but we do know the 1 car, they know how good they can be on 2 tires because they've already done it once tonight. So who knows? With 22 laps to go, 21 when we take the green, anything could happen in this race. That's why we've had 9 different winners in the last 9 races here.
Now I'm corrected. After Boyer, 4 of the cars that took the wave around do get back on the lead lap. That will include Moffitt, Castle, McDowell, and Buescher. So we'll have 30 lead lap cars for the restart.
The last 9 spring races here has had 9 different winners.
You know what? Jeff Gordon was leading this race, both these races last year with less than 10 laps to go.
Green flag. 21 laps to go. And it's a log jam up at the front. Logano tries way at the bottom, and we're 3 wide already. Gordon racing for the lead with McMurray.
They're just kind of holding the 4 and the 22 back a little bit here, nowhere to go.
You counsel patience right now?
Oh yeah, you got to know that you got 20 laps to go, so no need to panic here just quite yet. But that's getting a little bit dicey right there.
Whoa, Logano up the hill. He may have had contact from Harvick.
Definitely.
He tried to throw the block on Kevin Harvick.
Well, there wasn't a lot of room there, but there was enough for Kevin to get in there, and I think they did make a little bit of contact.
And that will kick Logano all the way back to 8th place.
Let's see if they touched it. If they didn't, there was a lot of air pushing that 22 out of the way.
Here it is from the Goodyear blimp.
Right here, Kevin's made a commitment to the bottom. You see Joey, he's coming down here in this little dog leg. Just enough. Just nerfed him. That's what you call bump and run.
Twice.
Or bump and run.
Punt, pass, and kick.
Amen.
I'm going to tell you what, Kevin Harvick can't fool around in this 4 car. Jamie McMurray, with coming to 18 laps to go, you don't think he knows when and you're in. He's running the fastest laps he's run of this race right now.
Well, I think, you know what, Larry, the thing that they did earlier when we and I were saying, I don't know if that's a good idea or not, where they took those 2 tires, now, I mean, it made a lot of sense because they know how good they were with 2, and this is the right time to try it.
Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt Jr. restarted 10th, got himself up to 4th. Now 5th as Jimmy Johnson moves to 3rd.
I'm just not sure if you took 8 tires, you could stop that 4 car, though. That thing is on a rail and it's fast, and Jimmy Johnson's pushing him. And
yeah, but have a look at the grill on the number 48.
Uh-oh.
It seems like, obviously, the 2 drivers that's dominated this race, Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick, both of them, several times they've had debris on their grill.
But, you know, Larry, I think right now 48's a little bit better than that 4 car.
Larry, that debris is a little to the left of center. Is that part of the grill open, or is it more the right side that's open?
That's normally the part that they tape up, Mike, to help the front downforce, to help the front tires grip. But it's still such a small opening. Anything that blocks it runs the temp up on the car.
Just thinking this 48 car is a little bit better than Kevin Harvick right now. He's up there battling with him, but they better get something done pretty quick.
Let's give you 3 things you need to know inside of 20 laps to go, Matt.
Joey Logano ahead of last year's productivity. He's 2nd in points coming in. Last year he was 8th. Now he's won at 3 of the next 4 racetracks. So this is a good stretch for Logano, who's currently 9th and can't get back up and have one more shot at another Texas win. Jamie.
Jimmy Johnson started the night 5th. He's led the most laps at 114. Now, the last couple of runs, he wasn't so good. He said he didn't know what happened, if it was a bad set of tires or what. That set him back a bit. But they took 4 tires this last time, and the car is back to where it should be. Let's go back upstairs to you, Mike.
Oh, it's 3 cars under a blanket for the lead, and here comes Johnson.
Yes, sir. I felt like that 48 car was really, really good. And right now, Kevin was having trouble getting by Jamie McMurray. Meantime, the 88, Dale Jr. is lurking right there watching this whole thing.
Murray didn't want to give Harvick much room up on the outside, but there they are, 1, 2, 3 with Earnhardt 4th. Earnhardt to the outside, and McMurray moves to third.
I don't know, Larry. I don't think that 4 car can get around the 48.
You know, guys, I think the debris on the grill, Andy Petrie and I were talking about that. I think that's a piece of tape that actually they put on that grill that last stop, knowing they had a short run to the end, helps the front downforce. I think that's just tape they slapped on there.
I'll tell you what, the Ford got that run off of turn 2 he's been getting tonight. And man, did he make time down that back straightaway, but carried it into 3 and lost a little of it back.
Yeah, Darrell, he's not been quite as good in turns 3 and 4 as Johnson. And which end of the track leads to the finish line? 3 and 4.
So watch him down here in 1 and 2. Man, he gets a run off of turn 2 that really, really pays off.
Boy, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88, he ran a quicker lap than Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick that last time.
It'll be 11 laps to go when they come to the stripe. In 3, Johnson up high. He comes down to the middle lane to hold Harvick and Earnhardt at bay. 11 to go.
I think the 4 car, if he can hit his marks, like right here in 1 and 2, if he can get that run off of 2 like he's been getting most of the night, he might be able to get back to Johnson. But Johnson's car right now is as good as I've seen it all night long.
Junior trying a different line, looking for something, anything that'll bring him closer to that lead pair.
Yeah, he's just not quite as good as a 48 and 4, but still a great run tonight for Dale Jr. in that 88 right here, third.
Yeah, he has nothing to lose trying different lines because he has no one pressuring him from behind. Now, in 1 and 2, he goes to the bottom of the racetrack.
And I tell you, Harvick is driving that car so hard, it's almost like he's almost got in the wall that time off turn 2. Really hurt him.
And of the drivers that gambled, Jeff Gordon is 6th, Martin Truex is 8th, trying to preserve that string of top 10 finishes. Turns out not to be such a bad call.
Well, I think of all the drivers that gambled, unless something happens over the next 9 laps, the real payoff was Jeff Gordon in that 24.
Yeah. And Joey Logano, who got kicked back to 8th, has rebounded to 5th, back up to the top 5.
Well, 9 laps to go, and I'm still not convinced we're not going to have another caution. I think Harvick is really, really searching. He's trying to find, he knows there's speed in that high line if he can make it work. But he got sideways. He got loose off 4.
He's just not good off turn 4, Darrell. Nope. And that time he paid the price. The car got away from him. He had to catch it, and it cost him 2nd place.
We know Dale Earnhardt Jr. would love to get a win this year.
Watch him get that run down the back, though. That 4 car gets off at 2. If he can get off 4 like he does 2, he might be able to catch Johnson, but he just can't do it.
Here's a look at it on the right of your screen. Quite a slide.
Yeah, the white gloves were telling the story inside that race car.
Jimmy Johnson is loving what he's seeing, guys. Got Dale Jr. between him and Harvick. Johnson is a little wee bit quicker, and we're running out of time.
And on the right, Keselowski 6th, Jeff Gordon 7th.
But Brad Keselowski and that 2 team, they've made a great recovery from that commitment cone violation not that many laps ago.
That 22 car, Larry, I mean, he was up against the wall, fell back to 8th place. Right now, he's in the 4th spot. That's a great recovery by Joey Logano as well.
Now, in 4 of Johnson's last 5 wins, Harvick was the 2nd place car. That's where Dale Earnhardt Jr. is trying to hold on right now.
Not sure what kind of move that was Junior made there. He just went to the bottom.
He's tried every lane but pit lane, Darrell.
Yeah, well, I think he got a little loose off of 2, and it shot him down to the inside of the racetrack, and then Kevin was able to take advantage of it. And that's a good break for Kevin Harvick because he needed to get out behind Dale Jr. get a little clean air on the nose. Might be able to get up there and rattle that 48's cage if he get another lap or 2.
He did get a great run off 2, plus he was 3/10 quicker the last lap than Jimmy Johnson in the 48.
And Johnson now, look, Larry, Johnson's starting to move up the hill. He knows that Kevin Harvick is coming, and he's coming in a hurry. 4 to go.
That gap staying pretty constant right there.
Here's where Kevin has been so good all night long.
3 to go.
That's two guys right there. You're looking at two of the best drivers in the sport, two of the best cars in the sport, two of the best crew chiefs in the sport. What a battle.
Boy, he drove that thing down into turn 3 and 4 that time, and it stuck.
If he can get that run off of 2 that he's been getting tonight, he might be able to get there.
Last year, this race ended with a last lap pass. We have 3 to go.
Oh no, he's up. He's in the wall. He's in the wall off turn 2.
One the big run, one fast.
That's what I was afraid of. He's been pushing it so hard.
That loss of momentum allowed Dale Jr. to get right to and inside of Kevin Harvick.
Fighting back. Here he comes. But you can see the right side of the car. He was up against that wall, and he was wearing it out.
But Darrell, he has 2 wins. The only thing that means anything to Kevin Harvick is more wins, more trophies.
That and to start another streak of top 2s.
There you go.
He's lucky that all the damage he got looks like it was just cosmetic. But, boy, that could have been disastrous. And I was a little worried about as hard as he was pushing it over there.
But like you said, Darrell, he had nothing to lose.
Oh, no, no.
White flag, 4 more good corners.
White flag for Jimmie Johnson may mean surrender for the rest of the field. He's got 1.2 seconds on Harvick and Earnhardt battling for second.
Chad and Jimmy, they put the right touch on the car that last time in on the pit stop, and it really performed, and there they are coming to victory. Here they come to the checkered flag.
Of the last 5 races on 1.5 tracks, Jimmy's won every other one. Checkered flag. Jimmie Johnson wins Texas.
And Harvick beat Dale Earnhardt Jr. back to the line.
He got under him off 4.
Great job, Jimmy. Really, really proud of you, man. Sorry about that drama there in the middle, but man, you came back strong. Really, really proud of you. Big crew, good job today. Good job.
Joey Logano climbed up to 4th. The 2-tire gamblers, Jeff Gordon 7th, Martin Truex 9th, continues his string of top 10 finishes. Carl Edwards 10th. And here's your 5-hour energy big move of the race. And it was the move as Jimmie Johnson jumped underneath Kevin Harvick and Jamie McMurray.
Jimmie Johnson was in the right place, Mike. He had the right line. That was the right move.
And that's your 5-hour energy big move. Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, and Martin Truex extend their run of top 10s all this season.
Great job, big crew. Ron, Malik, all you guys. Good job preparing that car. Everybody back home, actually. They had a really good race car off the truck. Thank you.
Sunoco fueling victories, and when he's done with the burnouts, Jimmie Johnson will drive that Lowe's Chevrolet into Sunoco victory lane.
Like you said, it was his time to win a 1.5-mile track. Harvick won the last one.
Tell you the way he ran at Atlanta and these tracks, Atlanta and this track are pretty similar. I'm not surprised. I feel like he'd have a really strong car from the middle of this race to the end.
And a nod to Carl Edwards, who scores his first top 10 finish of the season.
Yeah, I know. Carl's going to get there.
Jamie?
And Joey Logano brings it home 4th. You guys seem to make the car better, but the question is, how in the world did you save that when Kevin Harvick got into you?
Yeah, I mean, that's racing. I mean, nothing bad he did. I'm watching the replay right now, but I felt like I had to, maintain that position to. I felt like if he got by me, I would never have a shot. And I mean, that's just hard racing. We're both trying to win the race. He had a fast car, and we both have nothing to lose. We're trying to race for a win, and it just didn't work out the way we wanted it to. But overall, these guys did a great job getting this Shell Pennzoil Ford faster throughout the night. At one point, we were about an 8th place car, and we got better and led a few laps, but just overall, just needed a little bit more speed.
Nice job tonight, Joey Logano's 4th. Chris?
Well, Kevin Harvick making his way back up into the top 2 after falling out of that top 2 back at Martinsville. But great run by you all night long. Such a strong car. What'd you have there for Jimmie Johnson at the end?
Yeah, I just got behind there, and Jimmy was really fast for those first couple laps and got around us. And I got loose coming off before, and then I got in the wall just, trying to hang on to get where I needed to be. Just got to thank everybody on my Budweiser Jimmie John's team for all that they've done and just raced as hard as we could. It was a lot of fun.
Great to watch. Thanks, Kevin.
And here at the finish, Jimmie Johnson, or rather Kevin Harvick, uses the crossover move on Dale Earnhardt Jr. Beats him by not quite a car length for second place.
I don't think Junior was expecting that. I think he thought he had him.
Not the fireworks of last fall's race, thankfully. But Jimmie Johnson, after a great three-way battle to take the lead, is headed for victory lane. Chris?
What a great run for Dale Jr. after that run at Martinsville. 36th there, third here tonight. And Dale, you slid back numerous times, but every time you charged back forward. On the radio after the race, you said you were a little bit disappointed because you didn't make a move. What was that about?
I had Harvick cleared off of 2. I passed him on the bottom, and I'd had a hard time on the top. So I wanted to try the bottom in 3 and 4, and he beat me around there. I still had Jimmy behind me at that point. I should have pulled up in front of Kevin and made it a little more difficult on him, but you know, we weren't as good as the 48 or the 4 early in the race, but we definitely improved it. Greg and the Nationwide team did a good job getting the car better, and we've had that speed all year, and it's good to get a good finish in the bank because these last couple of weeks have been pretty rough. We know what we're capable of. We're gonna, you know, me and Greg are just getting started here, and we're right there on their heels, man. We get this thing figured out, it's gonna be tough.
Second last night in the Xfinity race, third tonight. Mike?
Thanks, Chris. For Jimmie Johnson, it's his 5th Texas win, his first in the spring race, and his 22nd on a 1.5-mile track.
NASCAR on Fox, live from the Texas Motor Speedway in victory lane. The 6-time champ Jimmie Johnson with his 2nd win of the year. Matt Yoakum is down there for the big-time celebration.
4 wins in the fall, finally a win in the spring race, and this, from the recovery from the issue on pit road, this was definitely a work in progress.
Yeah, it was. Forgive me, my voice has been gone all afternoon. I woke up this morning with a cold, but just a great race car. I want to give a big shout out to all the pros that shop at Lowe's and the folks at Lowe's Pro Services. There's Chevrolet, Hendrick Motorsports, Valvoline. You know, we've had an awesome start to the year. I know the results don't show it, but great support from our fans, our sponsors, such as Gatorade as well. Cobalt Tools. It's just, you know, we've kept plugging away at it. I think the off week was good for us to kind of sit down, relax, reboot, come back to the track. And they brought me a fast race car. I was good all weekend.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jimmie Johnson, another win here in Texas.
And battling it cold with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers, and the chase standings up to the moment. 2nd win for him. You know, interesting with Kevin Harvick, for the 11th time they finished 1-2. Johnson has won 9 of those. And both of those guys, talk about going back to the Golden Horseshoe. This looks like a championship battle all the way to the end.
Yeah, and I think Joey Logano is going to have something to say with this battle, as well as Brad Keselowski. Denny Hamlin, the only Toyota driver with a win, but all 3 of his teammates are in the top 16 as well.
Well, we had more lead changes in this race than we did last year, but chalk up another one. Jimmie Johnson, the all-time leader on 1.5-mile tracks. Those are the most that they run on. Let's get some final thoughts from Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
You know, 500-mile race, and I thought the way Jimmie Johnson ran in Atlanta, he'd probably have a good car tonight. They got it right at the right time, that strategy thing. Got to have the car the best it is at the end of the night. They had it. Throw a blanket over those first 3. Pretty exciting race, if I ask me, 500 miles.
Yeah, a couple of quick stories out of the top 10. If you look at Brad Keselowski, recovered from that commitment cone violation, ended up finishing in the top 5. And Carl Edwards, he has to be so relieved, finally gets a top 10 finish driving that 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Well, I like watching the strategy play out and the gamblers. Jamie McMurray, Martin Truex, and Jeff Gordon gambling to get a good finish. Chris Neville's with Jeff.
Well, Jeff Gordon comes home 7th tonight, and Jeff, it looked like it was a bit of a struggle out there, but you made some late race gambles. You got some track position.
Yeah, Texas is tough when everything's working right for you, but our Panasonic Tough Book Chevrolet was just, I don't know, all weekend we just struggled trying to get the balance. And, you know, obviously our teammates have it worked out, so, you know, they were all fast. So we got some work to do. You know, I got to figure this package out or something. I don't know, but you know, we struggled. We fought through it. We didn't give up, and Alan made a great call there at the end to take 2 tires, and, you know, that's what got us to 7th.
Thanks, Jeff.
Another driver battling it cold this weekend. Chevy 1, 2, 3, and then Fords 4 and 5. Jimmie Johnson at 5-1, your winner here in Texas. More in a moment. Back live on a hot night, especially for Jimmie Johnson, Team 48, with crew chief Chad Knaus. As Jimmy celebrates, smiles all around, and after a spring break, back in the action, long 500-mile race. Your takeaway from Jimmy's victory?
Just the never give up attitude of that team. They got a little bit off in the middle of the race. The car didn't handle right, but when it came down to crunch time, he restarted 7th, drove around the guy that was dominant all night long, Kevin Harvick, and put himself in a position to win this baby.
He led the most laps early on the Stewart-Haas team. Also, Brad Keselowski making a run at things, and he is standing by with our Jamie Little.
Well, Brad Keselowski brings it home 5th. Well, you had a vibration earlier that you had to pit for. You had a commitment cone violation. You still battle back to finish 5th, all with a totally different setup. How would you assess your night?
We had a good night, but just not enough to run with the, those 3 Chevrolets. They were, really fast tonight, so we got some work to do to keep up with them. But really proud of the effort. Both Team Penske cars in the top 5 and up front, led some laps, and just got to keep working. Got to find a little bit more speed, and certainly I dug us some hole there, hitting a commitment cone that one time, but we were just doing everything we could to try to find a way to get in front of those guys, knowing they had a little more speed, and I messed up, so I feel bad about that. But still a really solid weekend, but I want wins, and we've been so close here at Texas, and let's come back and try again.
Nice to talk to you under calmer circumstances this Texas race.
No crowd for her to surf through. Way to go, Jamie Little, as Jimmie Johnson celebrates for Brad Keselowski, for Kevin Harvick. Still no wins for either one of them in Texas, but Jimmy continues to dominate with his 5th victory here. The caliber of greatness for Jimmie Johnson, his 72nd career win, that's 8th all time, and moving closer to the late great Dale Earnhardt with 76, 7th on NASCAR's all-time victory list for Sprint Cup. Tonight on Fox Sports 1, actually Fox Sports 2. Fox Sports 1 has a lot going on with baseball and basketball, but Victory Lane will be live. We'll hear from the winner and a lot more. Later on Fox, check your late local news, and then Animation Domination in high definition. On next we'll be in Bristol. It's a different style. We got, in fact, back-to-back short tracks coming up with Bristol Richmond for the first time in 5 years on the schedule. Yeah, we're going to do a little car wrestling. You make somebody mad at Bristol, they're going to pay you back at Richmond. For Darrell, Larry, and Mike, Jamie Little, Chris Neville, Matt Yoakum, Andy Petrie, Michael Waltrip, I'm Chris Myers. This has been a Barry Landis production with help from his daughter, Emma. And directed by Artie Kempner, with Richie Zions watching over things closely. And Tuesday, Steve Burns' birthday. We'll be thinking about him next weekend at the race in Bristol. Happy birthday, Steve. Thank you for watching. Jimmie Johnson victorious here. Always fun. NASCAR on Fox.
I'm racing. Well, yeah, it's fine if you got the time, and I tend to get yourself in.
It's not just a race, it's the place. A place to set up a tent, park the RV, and start emptying the cooler. A place to fire up the grill, enjoy the Tennessee hills, and salute our heroes. The place is the last great Coliseum, Bristol Motor Speedway. Hope you'll join us on April 19th for the Food City 500. Call 423-BRISTOL or visit bristoltix.com. It's not just a place.
It's Bristol, baby!
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.